do it all the time. I mean,
I try to subdue it.
Dude, those things slip out on the air all the time,
really
so it's
do.
not. You just like pretend like old
Like
man, like no one noticed I
Yeah.
passed gas
Yeah.
type thing. Okay.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. The Friday edition of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. Welcome in, folks. Happy Friday. Hope you are having a fabulous day. My name is Rob Brown. I'm glad to have you along for the ride. Directly across from the metaphorical glass from me sits the great one, the Sultan of Swag, the Professor of Perfection, the Wizard of Wave, the Alpha and the Omega of the Fan Upstate. Lonzo is at the helm. What's up, Zoe?
Hi, it's Friday. You got a busy day ahead of you.
Sure do. Sure do. We got the show. Then half an hour after that, we cut the pod. Then half an hour after that, got to head out to a lunch because we're trying to grow the station, grow the brand. Then we head out to Hillcrest High School, where I will be on the call this evening for the Burns Rebels playoff game, round number 1 on the road at the Hillcrest Rams. Call that game. It is a busy Friday for your boy. And then when I hit home from that, a little D&D with my my online crew this evening. It is a busy day for the Rob Brown.
How are you going to do all that without carbonated beverages, though? I mean,
I
how are you going to
genuinely don't know.
How are you going to do that? Because where are you going to get your caffeine from? Is there something out there where I guess you could drink coffee?
I hate coffee.
Yeah.
I do not. There's not. I've never found. And before, save your text. Save your try it iced. Try it with cream and sugar. Try this brand. Try that style. Try this flavor. Save it all.
I think 5 Hour Energy is not carbonated, but you could go with that. That's got caffeine in it, right?
I think so. I've had a couple of 5 hours in the past in like an emergency setting.
I tried it once. It was a bad idea.
Did you get the jitters?
People were like, "Don't ever do that again." You see me when I get going. This was like amped up by a bunch.
Okay. Honestly, that may have to happen, right? Like, so when I do a Burns game, the setup in the booth for Rob Brown is ordinarily a big monster, right? Like the big can of Monster, and 2 of the Gatorade Fits, which are their new sugar-free. Basically, if you took a Gatorade and you took all the stuff out of it that makes Gatorade good, like tastes good, that's what's left, and it's called Gatorade Fit. But a Gatorade Fit, 2 Gatorade Fits, a big can of Monster, and a big bottle of water and a couple of cough drops is the usual in-boost setup for one Rob Brown. But no more of that.
By the way, my hair flies beautifully as I walk really fast behind the camera.
Okay.
You can see that on the stream if you tune into
Lonzo doing his best Tawny Katane impression.
Facebook in the heat of the night. I think was she in that one? She was in a couple White Snake videos. I can't remember which one.
And she was in dorm rooms of Americans everywhere for about 20 years.
Also in the movie Bachelor Party.
Fair enough. Texter says, try a little Jameson in your coffee. 2 things. Number 1, if I am drinking it as a pick-me-up, knocking some Irish whiskey into it kind of defeats the purpose a little bit. Now, I am very Team JMO. I love JMO. In fact, if Rob Brown is sitting down at a bar that has any level of class to it, JMO is my preferred social drinking whiskey of choice. But to knock it down at 9 a.m. when I got to come to work, not the best plan, is it, Texter?
Yeah,
Not the best plan.
If I smell that over here, I'm probably going to have to go to a best of or something.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I'm not.
yeah.
I'm not. That's not to say I'm above some mimosa action, but not when I'm coming into work. I like my job too much. Texture says Rob seems less loud and more subdued without carbonated beverages.
Oh, he just finished one up. It isn't like he didn't. He just
9 a.m. was the start time.
Yeah, he just now started, so he's got some fuel for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Then after that,
I literally pounded one down to taking the last hit of it at 8:59:59.
You know what tastes really good? This carbonated.
I bet it does.
Water. It's peach flavored water. It's amazing. Don't you wish you could have one?
Because I am a self-saboteur, I've got like 4 of those in the office.
Yeah, go ahead and have one.
No chance.
Why?
I'm not breaking.
Are there repercussions if you should drink one or someone sees you drink a carbonated beverage?
Is it better or worse with carpet in here? I think it's worse,
dude,
right?
It's brand new carpet.
I know.
It hasn't been, there's only been one guy in here. Well, 2 if you count Chris walking in.
You know what? I just realized, you know what I should have done? I should have accepted the barefoot challenge had I remembered that today we were going to have carpet that nobody's walked on yet.
Yeah,
that'd have been the easiest thing in the world.
And you know what? It would have been over.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm willing to, if you want to take your shoes off right now, you can have carbonated beverage the rest of the time. Just for the next 3 hours, no shoes.
No, because I got to pee. If I knew that was coming, I would have taken care of that business right before the show, and I wouldn't have had a drink this morning.
With as much carbonated beverages as you drank right before the show,
no
way you're only going once.
There's no way correct.
I gave you an out. I did.
And for those of you
I am gracious. I want you to know that.
For those of you that think the barefoot thing is a work, I am literally willing to not drink carbonated beverages for 2 weeks rather than go barefoot for 3 hours. Just FYI.
It's his own punishment, by the way. No one said he had to do 2 weeks. He decided to go 2 weeks.
Yeah, because I got a lot of crap that one was too easy.
Yeah, well, it's still kind of easy, but anyway. I'm trying to think. Could I do it? Yes, I've done it before, so I know I could do it.
I don't want to. I can't.
I don't drink the variety of things that you do.
That's also true.
So there's that.
That's also true. Saturday night, there's like 5 really good football games on Saturday night, and I have to make it through them without my standard Jack and Diets or Yinglings. Don't love that. It's all vodka water for 2 weeks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some sports. Keep in mind.
I'm glad you're doing this because I was reaching for the violins. They were about to play.
Yeah, we'll move on to sports. Speaking of sports, Boobox Bets Picks coming up at 11 a.m. this morning. 11 a.m. We go back to the Boobox Bets. Lonzo riding a season-high 1-week winning streak. He'll see if he can pull that together in week 2. And I'm going to tell you, I set up the picks. I sent them to him to Zoe before the show started. They are tough this week.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. It really is.
They are tough.
Probably going to be a lot of difference between our picks, I'm guessing.
We'll see. I could see somebody winning this week at like 4-6. I really do. I could see one of us going 8-2. I could see both of us going 2-8. It's a weird week. So we'll get into that. That's going to be right at 11 a.m. And before I get too deep, I want to thank the folks over at Furman for having me out last night. Last night was their hoops night. You saw you heard the commercials playing for it the last couple of weeks. They had hoops night. It was the effectively tip-off pep rally for the men's and women's basketball team. And it's high-level college basketball. And we had a great time last night, had a really good turnout at Timmons Arena. And they invited me out to MC along with their in-arena host, Miss Anna Catherine, who's a fabulous person, who kind of showed me the ropes. And I got to do something last night that I had been waiting for a while. First off, for those of you watching the stream, some of you have already noticed it. If you have not checked out the stream yet, you have not.
So juvenile. I just, You guys are adults, supposedly.
Sure am. Which is why I don't mind wearing my brand new royal purple FU hoodie. Furman University, Dins all day, all din, baby.
You're going to mind it in 10 minutes if the air doesn't kick in like I went and turned it down.
I made a grave mistake. I only wore an undershirt under the hoodie today. So the AC doesn't pop on. Either I'm in trouble or the viewers are. One or the other. Anyway, they had me out last night. Got the chance to MC that preseason kickoff pep rally. So they go, hey, we want you to, after you introduce the men's team, we want you to do a short little interview with Bob Ritchie, right? The head coach of the men's basketball team. We want you to ask Bob a couple of questions, let him talk to the crowd a little bit, ask him about the team, ask him about the schedule, ask him about whatever you want to ask him about. Just got to do your thing, right? So Bob Ritchie and the boys come out. They do their dances. It was a lot of fun. People were popping off. It was great. And I'm like, all right, coach, having all this energy in the building, having your team feeling it a little bit, how important is it for that to carry over into the regular season? College basketball teams want to get real hot coming out of the gate and set that standard early. How important is it to pack out Timmons Arena from game number 1 next Monday in order to give you guys the best possible home court advantage? And this has happened twice in my life. The other time being in a wrestling ring. I was like, coach, talk to the people. Tell them how important. Bob Ritchie grabs the mic out of my hand. I got this, Rob. Walks away from me, walks over to the crowd, and just cuts a stellar promo on the crowd. He's got numbers. He's like, when you get a home court advantage in college basketball, that's worth 8.3 points per game. And when you get a home court advantage, you guys are able to slow down opposing offenses. You can cause them to have 7 less possessions per game. Like, he's just ripping off the numbers. I'm like, damn, coach. In fuego, man. He had him up out of the chair with here's the math, here's the science behind a great home court advantage in college basketball. And I was talking to Drew Ingram, who is the associate athletic director, after the game. And I was like, hey, man, because I told him pregame, I'm like, hey, you guys need me for anything? You want me to come MC a basketball game or whatever? Let me know. I was like, hey, Drew, never mind. I don't want to work. I'm just coming to watch the games. Bob's got me hyped. Bob's got me all in.
Rob, quit trying to get more jobs, dude. You got 35 jobs. Stop it.
Dude, when your job is show up and yell at a basketball game, it's not really work.
I'm just saying.
It's not really work.
Yeah.
Keegan said, is your hoodie FCC compliant? Yeah, man.
Well, you can't. It's not. Yeah, because it's on the internet, and it's free game on the internet.
Yeah, I can say and do whatever I want on the stream. On the stream, I can say and do whatever I want. But yes, I'm a big fan of Furman University and proudly display their letters across the hoodie today.
If you guys could have heard Rob and Chris Evans down the hall giggling over the jersey when I walked in, it's just like
Chris was telling me. So I guess Chris went to Furman.
Then I sat down surrounded by my anime posters and judged.
He did hard. Chris went to Furman.
Yeah, he was in the choir.
Yeah,
I forget what it was called exactly. That's why he has such a killer voice.
He said that when
I'm not complimenting him trying to get something out of it. He really does have a good voice.
Yeah, you guys don't compliment each other. He told me when he went to Furman, that the students were real big into the FU chant, right? Furman University, FU one time. Said the students were really big into that, but that the school actively tried to squash it, actively tried to prevent them from getting into the FU all the time chant. Then within the last couple of years, and those of you who have been around here, you might be able to clarify a little bit for me, but over the last couple of years, with some changes in leadership at the university, they kind of started to lean into it a little bit, right? Like they kind of started to let it be the thing because they are Furman University. So they started rolling with it. And now you got the FU chant, you got the FU hats, you got the FU hoodies. I asked a representative of the university not to be named last night. I'm like, be real with me. Merch sales. He's like, they're real good. They're real good with the new gear. With the gear repped like I'm repping it today, it is real good. I took a picture on the court yesterday because I got the hoodie yesterday. I took a picture on the court yesterday in the hoodie, and some of y'all know I've got a friend. I've got a friend who works up in New York City on a very large national broadcasting and podcasting outlet. I've known him for many years, and I put the picture up, and he drops me a text last night. I know I'm big time. He dropped me a text.
No, if it was
night.
who I was thinking of, I was just shocked that he dropped you a text, but it may be someone totally different. So.
No, it is. It's the
okay.
right person.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. He'll reach out to me when he knows I can help him with something.
We didn't have to verbally do that. I was just letting you know that I was. Yeah. Okay.
So he texted me last night and he's like, dude, sick hoodie. Where did you get it? Who does it belong to? I didn't answer him because screw him, but you get it. He's like, sick hoodie. What is I actually am going to reply to him, and here's why. It's not because of that, Zoe. It is because if that dude who will absolutely think that an FU hoodie is hysterical, if that dude will rep an FU hoodie on his network, they're going to sell out like the next day. If that crowd gets a look at this hoodie, it is going to be sold out the next day.
Yeah, I agree. You're right.
The next day.
You're absolutely right. And you should respond to him because you're not him. That's why you should respond.
I'm going to respond, and I'm going to respond for Furman. I'm going to do it for Furman because I want Furman to do well. And if my dude gets, and I'm not going to say who it is, but you guys, you'll see if he answers and if he gets one and if he wears it on the air, you'll know, and it'll go crazy. Then last night I stopped at a grocery store on the way home to pick up a snack, and I'm walking out of the door, and I kind of blanked on it because I wasn't thinking about it. I was like on the phone trying to get in and get out of a grocery store. And as I was walking into the grocery store, I walked through the sliding glass doors, and there's two young ladies walking out. They're probably in their early to mid-20s. And one of them looks and goes, "Hey, F you." And I was like, excuse me, ma'am. Oh, my bad. Hoodie. I'm like, it's sweet, right? She's like, yeah, that is really cool. Where'd you get that? Said it's Furman. You can get it at the Furman bookstore. Go on campus to get it. Her friend is like, we are going to get those hoodies. I'm like, knock it out. I own the hoodie 2 hours. I've sold 4. I've sold 4 already. That is the importance. We had the conversation about South Carolina changing back to USC instead of U of SC. We've talked about in the past how the Gamecocks have tried to use the back half of their word as a slogan in of itself, and the university has kind of poo-pooed on that, right? We don't want that soul. We don't want that half of the back half of the word used as our moniker. Dude, leaning into a brand is importante. More importantly, leaning into a brand that people want to lean into with you is important. Furman has done it, and they are reaping benefits for it. Their athletic department is better for it. South Carolina is doing it the way they want to do it. It's great. College football's a business, my dudes. That's why I get frustrated. And we're like, I like college football better because it ain't a business. Hell, it's not. Are you kidding me? It is absolutely a business, and branding and marketing is maybe the most important tool that any business has.
I would just like to commend you for going outside the box and going and representing this fine station with a college team because, we're NFL guys, and you were actually able to go out there and do something with college. And I know it was difficult for you.
I pulled through.
But I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And all the repping that you're doing right now, I appreciate it.
I basically learned, so I had to learn the game of ball of baskets last night. Like I had to teach myself ball of baskets last night to figure out how ball of baskets worked. But I think I got it now. You bounce the ball on the ground some number of times, and then you throw the ball into the air, and you try to get it to go into the hoop, the round thing up on the board. They put a board on the wall. Try to get the ball into the little round thing.
Think of it as a peach basket.
Okay, all right. Texas says, "Go Irish! Notre Dame by 10. ... Just wanted to stir the pot." Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Notre Dame v. Clemson is on our Boo Box Bets pick this morning, and it is an interesting line, which we are going to talk about coming up. We've also got South Carolina at Vanderbilt. The Gamecocks favored by a touchdown and the hook. Fair or foul? We'll talk about that. And both of those games are in the Boo Box Bets selections. Plus, let's take a look at up and down the college football playoff rankings, and we will break down every game of the top 6 to see who will be disappointed and who will be dancing on in the playoff 4 into next week. All of that and more coming up on the Rob Brown Show. My name is Rob Brown. He is the great one, Lonzo, and you are listening to the Fan Upstate.
All right, I sent you something, but I'm going to listen to it. So I doubt that he curses, but we're on stream anyway. But I got to hear this. Lamar responded to someone asked him in the press conference about Jericho.
I got called out. I wasn't looking for I wasn't thinking he was gonna call me out. Chris Jericho called me out. I was like, I didn't really hear what he said at first, and then they told me, and I started laughing. I'm like, this man is crazy. I enjoyed it though, because I was like growing up, I was a huge fan of wrestling. It was cool to go see that.
Wait. Lamar Jackson.
Noted not a real man.
It can't be a real man because he just said he's a big fan of wrestling.
No.
Oh, no.
I've got to have shoes on because I'm going to the bathroom.
I still say, didn't you guys can tell him because I don't care. This carbonated beverage thing is lame. It is. There's no immediate, pleasure for all of us seeing him suffer. Like when all of you saw me suffer wearing Clemson orange or singing that horrible rendition of an REO Speedwagon song. This is lame, man. It's lame. It's lame. I can't change it, but next year, yes. I agree, Josh. Level 10. So we should be looking forward to today, or just watching him have bare feet right now, or looking forward to, like at 11 o'clock, him doing his punishment. But no, I don't drink the bubbles. I mean, it's lame. But I also blame you guys to a certain degree, because a lot of the punishments came from you. He says that came from you. I don't remember that coming from you. I think that's one he made up himself. So if you're watching right now, and you are the person who came up with the carbonated beverage, please admit it, because I'm older and I can't remember. So I think he made that one up himself. I think he knew, all my punishments, they suck. His, not so much. And I don't have to oversell. I legitimately do not like REO Speedwagon. I did not like wearing the Clemson colors. Exactly, Josh. That's what I want too. Instead, we get this. There's no build up. There's no nothing. It's just, wow. Yeah, I guess that's got to be tough on you. No. I will continue to protest because I guarantee you when I lose next week, it's going to be something painful. And let's stop talking about it because he's back.
There's no pleasing you people sometimes.
When I talk about things being a work, this was a work.
This was you could have had, for the record, ladies and gentlemen.
You put it in
record,
your box. I can't take it out of there.
The record, ladies and gentlemen. Lonzo could have selected and made me do the barefoot challenge as his punishment, but he decided it was more important for him not to wear a Michigan shirt than for you people to enjoy my discomfort for 3 hours. So you can hate on me for that being in the box, but remember, Lonzo could have picked the worst punishment in the box and elected instead to get himself off the hook for something.
All right, he's right. He's right.
You're damn right I'm right. You're damn right I'm right. People are getting on to me in the stream, which you can watch at facebook.com/thefanupstate or by searching and subscribing to the Rob Brown Show on Twitch or YouTube. People are getting on to me because they're like, Rob, there's no pain, there's no discomfort in no carbonated beverages, which yes, there is. It's just that you won't see the majority of it, right? You will see 11 shows. Well, no, you'll see 10 shows today, all next week, and then until the following Thursday. For those of you that watch the stream, you know that Rob Brown backs down at least an energy drink during the show and, frequently goes to the Sprite Zero or the Coke Zero or the carbonated water. And that's my drinks, right? Like that's what I drink day to day. And I do 1 to 2 to 3 of those per show every single day. And now it's just water for me. It's just water during the show every day. And while for those of you who are healthy, that's not that big of a deal. I ate, all right?
Have you ever tried Propel before?
I'm not, but I will now.
No, Propel is excellent. There's it's kiwi, cherry kiwi or something like that. You will love it.
I will go find it.
And it has no calories. And it doesn't bubble. You just pour it in your water.
So I'm getting banged up on right now because you guys aren't going to get to see me physically suffer, right? Which is what you're looking for. You want Lonzo and I to suffer, which in fairness was the reason we came up with this. Somebody suffers the majority of weeks for your entertainment. What a job. So people are getting on to me, and I wanted to point out, and I did point out to the stream, but I felt it important enough to bring up here as well, that the great one could have accomplished that. He could have accomplished pain and suffering on one Rob Brown. He could have accomplished that. He could have made me. The deal was when Mayo came off the table, because I don't want to, die. When that came off the table, Lonzo could have had the power to assign me any other punishment in the box that he wanted. Perform a song of his choosing live on the air, etc., etc. But Lonzo decided instead of giving me one of the worst punishments in the box to allow me to draw instead. And the reason he did that was not because it was for your entertainment or for his entertainment or any other reason. Lonzo did that to use it as leverage to remove the worst punishment remaining in his box from his box. So if you are mad that I am not going to suffer discomfort on the air for your enjoyment, you can blame Lonzo personally for that, because he could have created the worst discomfort that I could have experienced on the air and decided it was more important for him to get out of wearing a Michigan t-shirt.
I have one more thing to say. So there were 2 punishments that were put in my box. Other than the Michigan, I've since got those removed too.
The 2 you already did?
No, the mayonnaise and the syrup.
Oh, yeah.
Those are both gone. Those were intended for me. But I put them in Rob's box, and suddenly there's a problem with them. I'm just saying, but now they're gone too. So
I mean, listen, had you drawn Mayo and researched,
I probably would be dying right now because I wouldn't have researched it. I would have just did it. And I'm not getting on you about that. That's fine. But I wouldn't immediately said I'm going to eat a 32-ounce jar. I would have brought in a tiny jar and I would have ate from that jar, and I would be okay.
I played honor code. We knew what we meant by jar. I was going jar.
No, it was not specific in what you wrote down.
You're right.
You did not write down, so it would be up to
But
interpretation.
the spirit of the competition, we knew what it was.
Yeah, little
Spirit of the competition,
small
we
little
knew what it
jar.
was. So anyway, the point is, if you are upset that I am not suffering pain and discomfort, you can blame the great one individually. It's on him. He had the opportunity and he decided not to take it because he wanted to ease his own pain and suffering. Which, don't get me wrong, I respect that.
I got it.
It was a great play. It was a 40 chess play, and it worked perfect.
I have one other thing to admit. If this would have happened on another show, that host would definitely be doing the worst punishment.
I don't know. I don't think either one of those guys would do anything like the Boo Box Bet segment.
No,
That's not a shot. They just wouldn't.
when I was on that show, we did a couple of challenges, but they were like physical challenges that the host knew that he could outdo me because I'm old, and I was like kicking the cap off of a bottle. That was one of them, and the other one was like making the broom stand up. Those it's all like TikTok trends or something. So we did those things. But yeah, I would like to believe that everyone on this station, if they took a bet, they would pay up. I would like to believe that.
I mean, I will until there's the risk of death on the line. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You ate my mayo. Prepare to die. Nope.
All right. Trey says, personally, I'm proud of Lonzo's tactics and happy that Rob isn't going to die. Me too.
Oh, listen.
Me too.
I
am.
immediately, as soon as I recognized what it was that Lonzo did, I gave him props for it. It was a brilliant play. It was 40 chess. It was a brilliant play. And I respect the hell out of it. I'm not upset about it. I'm just saying, if you tune in and you're disappointed because my Boo Box Bets does not involve on the air suffering and or humiliation, come at Zoe, not me. Don't come at me, come at Zoe. Kevin says, mayo will not kill you unless you choke on it. Damn. Kevin, all due respect, I'm going to go with the doctor over you on this.
No, he's going to go with someone on Reddit who says they're a doctor. So I
mean, he got moderator approval for having proved his credentials.
Wow. How hard is that on Reddit, though? I mean,
on the serious subs, really hard.
Reddit is more brutal than Twitter, and I didn't even think that was possible.
Again, I'm not playing Russian roulette with my arteries. I'm just not doing it. All right.
You haven't been doing that all your life? Okay.
All right. That's fair. That's fair. Cruel, mean, but fair. All right. Let's do this. Let's run to a break. Oh, wait. Let's see. Texture says, does that mean you're not doing the mayo? I'm so glad because I was worried about you eating all that. That's from Tiger Pal Rachel. Rachel, thank you very much. And no, I am not for that exact reason. As soon as I took 45 seconds to research the physical consequences of eating a jar of mayo, basically, I came across multiple threads that were like, don't. And one guy who was a gastroenterologist who was like, yeah, no. One of two things will happen. You'll either A, die, or B, how do I phrase it the way that he put it, but make it radio friendly? Your body will, in a very particular and, shall we say, fluid way, evacuate all its contents as if it was trying to purge you of every sin you've committed in your life, was what that guy said.
This is also proof that the love of Dukes is a work, and we've all seen it.
No, it's I
definitely
love
because
Dukes.
if you love Dukes that much, you would have ate that jar of mayonnaise.
I don't love anything enough that I would die for it, with the exception of like my mom, my dog, the girlfriend. Not sorry, Alonzo. Not even you.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Not even you.
That's fine. I'd take a bullet for you, but we all have our own thing.
Can I like in the arm? Like I'd take one in the arm.
All right, let's be honest. No one would really want to take a bullet for someone, but if you could save someone's life, I definitely would do that.
Yeah, in the arm.
Yeah, okay.
But that list is short. At the same time, let's be real about that. The list is short.
And hopefully I haven't gotten worse at it. I know how to duck a drive-by. So
Texter said, can we add starting the show's intro after inhaling a helium balloon? I mean, there's not really pain and suffering
that's
for that. It's just
fun.
hilarious.
Yeah, that's just fun right there.
That's just hilarious. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, let's get in a game. Now, what game you guys want up first? You want to jump into the Carolina game? Do you want to jump into the Clemson game? Do you want to jump into the Panthers game? Do we want to jump into Tennessee, Georgia? Do we want to jump into LSU, Alabama? What game do you guys want up
Clemson?
first?
We need to talk Clemson.
It has been 36 minutes and we haven't talked about
Clemson. we need to talk Clemson, get that out of the way.
Well, I found out yesterday on social media. I did not know this, but I found out yesterday on social media that we're a Clemson station. Did you know that? I did not know that.
We are from 3 to 7.
I found that out on social media yesterday. All right, text in 71307. Start your text with FAN FAN to 71307. Text in with the game that you want to bat lead off. What game do you want to talk about out of the gate next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate? If you'll pardon me for a second time, now I have to go to the water fountain.
What if I'm going to get that strongly worded email now?
That was probably your.
I'm working on it.
That was probably your jabby.
The P's always been there, Josh. That's why that CLEM. I forget the letter, and then they continue the rest of the chant. They still do that, I'm sure. Or you might still do it. I don't know. When I go to a game, I don't stand up and do all that stuff because I'm old and boring. I go there to watch the game. And as Keegan can attest to, I look like I'm not having a good time, even though I'm having a blast. It really comes down to I don't know what to do with my hands. I think Clemson is more accurate than Clemson because a good portion of fans have never been in a place of zen. They angry. You spend some time in a yurt. I bet Rob spent time in a yurt. I can't wait till he comes back. I got to ask him. I've never been in a yurt before, I don't think. Although I think if you've been in a yurt, you'd know you were in a yurt. Rob, have you ever been in a yurt?
No.
Wow, I'm disappointed. I thought for sure he would have been in a yurt.
I'm not a hippie. I mean, I'm not saying I'm anti-yurt.
No, that would be me.
You're anti-yurt? Very random thing to be anti.
No, I'm not anti-yurt. James has said, is it Clemson with a P or Clemson with a Z? And I said, it's not Clemson because they've never been in a place of zen. They're too angry.
They're too angry.
And I said they need to spend time in a yurt. And I was just thinking of She-Hulk and
which was hilarious.
Yeah, the yurt thing. I remember one time, one of our news people at the time was vacationing on the West Coast, and there was a tsunami or something coming. And so we called to get her on the show, on one of the shows on WRD. And she was talking to us from a yurt. So I will always remember that. She was in a yurt in Washington.
In a yurt.
And was perfectly fine for her because I picture her being in a yurt. Does a tent that looks like a yurt, is that still a yurt, or does it have to be constructed out of?
I don't have the I don't have yurt knowledge.
If you would take complete credit for that, Steven, you go right ahead. You saved Rob's life yesterday. Now I hear the Elton John songs. Somebody save my life tonight. All right. It's an obscure reference, but it's a music reference. And if Rob doesn't get it, just a big, hairy winning machine. That makes me want to stand up and run across the room just to watch my hair fly on the screen.
To watch my hair. Alonso's very happy, very proud of his hair today.
I am. It's beautiful. It's luxurious. It's buxom.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alonso is feeling himself.
This
today.
is why
Feeling himself.
it's
today.
sometimes not good to say the first thing that comes to your mind. This is why I hit delete a lot on social media. But I shouldn't have did that to myself, because now that someone saved my life tonight, it's going to be stuck in my head for the rest of the day.
That's your own fault.
There are worse songs to be stuck in your head.
Also true.
You don't even know the song, though, do you? So it's
I
okay.
wouldn't know if I heard it. I couldn't tell you what the name was
I mean,
off the top of my
you
head.
know, Elton John was really popular before you were born. So
Texter says, Rob, you can talk about the World Series, but the audience might be upset. No, I absolutely am going to talk about the game last night.
you probably don't get the reference. I was working late yesterday and I saw some texts. So I think they're referencing another show.
Oh,
Yeah. It's okay. Because you were working elsewhere. So
were they,
it was-
I was. Were they saying?
I can only go by text.
Gotcha.
And I got the gist of it is they don't talk baseball because no one cares. But this is just me interpreting the text. So I couldn't
I'm
listen to the
curious.
show because I was working on our sister station.
I'm curious. I absolutely think baseball works. I think baseball absolutely can and should be talked about. And for the love of everything, my dudes, it's the World Series.
And listen, I don't like baseball, but it's the World Series and
the
it
World
should be
Series.
talked about.
Yeah, it's the World Series.
And when I say I don't like, I'm just not into it. It's not like I loathe it. And if you show me baseball, I will want to hurt somebody or something.
I had this conversation twice yesterday, right? After the show yesterday, I went to lunch with the engineering crew, right? We just walked across the street to the little Asian joint across the street, which is fantastic.
And everyone was really offended that I didn't go yesterday, but I really was sick and I just ate. So I'm not going to,
Hey, I wasn't offended. We
Well,
just wanted
no.
you to go with us.
Yeah, I know.
So we went over there, and Captain America Chris Evans down the hall asked me the question. He said, what is your least favorite sport in general? And what is your least favorite sport of the sports that you guys talk about with regularity on the air? And my answer was, my least favorite sport is lacrosse. I don't get it. Okay? I don't get it. I've tried. I don't get lacrosse. It's not for me. My least favorite sport to talk about. I said, that's an interesting question because I love sports. There's nothing, if I didn't love it, I wouldn't talk about it on the air. But the hardest, the most difficult sport to try to get over on the show is tennis, right? I love tennis. I enjoy tennis quite a bit. I have enjoyed the last couple of years with having as high level tennis between Nadal and Joker and the rest of these guys that are at the top of their game, Federer, etc. I love tennis, but tennis just doesn't sell, right? I want it to. I can get away with maybe 4 or 5 minutes when there is a massive story in tennis. When there's a major tournament or somebody's working on a Grand Slam title or whatever, I can get away with it. But it's rare. He said, what about baseball? Is baseball still something that there is a demand for amongst your listenership? And my answer was, this is baseball's problem. Is there a demand for it? No, nobody demands baseball talk. Do I do baseball talk? Yeah. It's still the World Series. Twitter last night in the midst of an incredible game between the Phillies and the Astros. When the Stros got out of Philly, taking game 5 and a 3-2 lead back to Houston for game 6. Yes, last night, social media was absolutely cranked about baseball. There is an audience for baseball.
But I do believe baseball could fix the problem that it has by shortening its season and ending it in August. You do that, you have no competition. Everyone's watching it. You get hyped up for it. But because the season is stretched out so far, and it goes not only into football season, but into basketball and hockey season also. And I think they hurt themselves by not having that exclusive window that they could take advantage of.
I get the premise. I don't have a problem with the premise of that. I had this conversation, by the way, last night at the Furman thing. Dan Scott was there too, the voice of the Paladins, and we talked a little bit about it as well.
And Dan Scott does a lot of baseball.
Yeah, he's a baseball guy too. Yeah,
play-by-play.
We talked a little bit about it, and we were talking about the fact that we're in crossover season right now, right? Like the next few weeks are crossover season because we're wrapping up baseball. We've got football in full swing, and now we got basketball heating up. And if you are especially a play-by-play guy like Dan, who does football and basketball, this is kind of an interesting time of the year because Dan is now bouncing back and forth between both sports. He's going to have 1 to 3 basketball games a week, plus Furman's on the bye this week, but plus 4 more Furman games, plus the playoffs as deep as Furman makes a run into the tournament. And he said, I'm a basketball guy. I'm also a football guy. I love it. And I said, so am I. I said that this is a terrible time to be on the radio as a baseball fan, right? Because the World freaking Series is going on. But you can feel that there's a thirst there to talk about, Auburn versus Mississippi State over the World Series, right? I don't know, and this is a question I asked Dan, and I'll ask you guys the same thing. I don't know that Dan Scott, or I told Dan Scott, I don't know what baseball can do to increase demand. And I'm not talking about number of people watching. They're fine. The World Series ratings are going to be fine, right? They're not going to outdraw Monday Night Football, but they're going to be fine. What I'm talking about is how do you get to where people are excited to talk about it more openly, right? It used to be, or maybe it just feels this way because I was younger, but when I was younger, it felt like when the World Series was going on, the World Series was what got talked about. The World Series was the water cooler talking point, right? People came in and they talked about baseball. It doesn't feel like that anymore. And again, I recognize that my life and my situations have changed. The way I go about things, where I am, the conversations I'm having, the people I'm having conversations with have changed. But how does baseball increase its demand? How does baseball get to the point where people are going to, in the midst of a really good World Series right now, a really good World Series right now? You know how many baseball texts I've gotten this week? Probably 5, maybe 6. We are 5 games deep into the World Series. We have got an elimination game 6 and a potential game 7 on Sunday. I've taken 4, maybe 5 texts and 0 phone calls about the World Series this year. Why? What happened? What happened and how does baseball fix it? Dan and I were having this conversation yesterday at Timmons Arena. And I said, Dan, here's the question baseball's got to answer. How do they get people excited again? The only suggestion that I had, the only solution that I have for baseball is end the stupid blackout rules, right? Stop making it so hard for people to watch your product. And you guys saw my tweets, my complaints, my on-air complaints about it all year long. How many Thursdays did I come in angry because the Braves had a 2 Thursday Wednesday game? How many Fridays did I come in because the Braves had a 2:30 Thursday game? And Rob either had to go watch it on an illegal stream somewhere, which are hard to find and harder to get onto the big TV because it was blacked out. I am 2.5 hours away from the Battery where this team plays games. 2.5 hours. I cannot make it to Atlanta at 2:30 on a Wednesday. Bob Manfred, I can't do it. Why are you blacking out that game when you know you are never going to, I don't care, in the heart of freaking New York City, you're not going to sell out a 2:30 in the afternoon Wednesday baseball game. People have lives. You know what you can do? You can get Rob in Greenville. You can get Beef from the Bronx, who wants to watch that game at their office, on their couch 2.5 hours away from the stadium. But
You just sound like everybody on the DA show.
hey, Bob from the Bronx. I love the Yankees, huh? You can get those people the opportunity to watch and blow up the numbers, but instead you'd rather black out because you didn't sell out a 2:30 Wednesday game. It's dumb, right? But outside of that, how do you increase demand for the World Series? How do you increase demand for the biggest series in baseball around the world? I don't know. I think the demand to watch it is there. The ratings are going to be fine. They're not going to. And if this thing goes to a Game 7 will have great ratings. Game 7 will outdraw every single game of the NFL with the exception of Monday Night Football, and it'll compete with Sunday Night Football, Titans Chiefs. It'll compete with it. I don't know if it'll beat it, but it'll compete with it. But how do you get to a point where baseball fans go, you know what? I'm going to call the Rob Brown Show. I got to talk about the Astros. I got to talk about the Phillies. I think it would help if you had, and again, I'm not saying you make it easier for these teams to get in. If you had a more, if the Yankees are in, we're probably getting a little bit more action. The Braves are in. Obviously, we're getting more action. But it's baseball's championship, and I've gotten 4 texts all week about it. Maybe. How do you fix that? And the blackouts, but what else? All right, now when we come back, college football. I promise this time. Clemson, Notre Dame, South Carolina, Vandy, Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, Alabama, and a whole lot more next up on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. Regenerative medicine can help you restore and repair damaged joint tissue and give you your life back. Your hips, shoulders, elbows, they can all be treated with natural biologics from your own body. These are powerful healing agents that are highly concentrated. So if you're tired of steroid shots that don't work, or if you're trying to...
Yeah, Stephen, I heard that this morning while I was prepping everything for the broadcast. That's crazy, but I would do it.
In Mother Russia, King Cobra, you bite.
Kid kind of bit it in half.
He bit it in half.
It got lashed on his hand and bit him. And
so he bit it.
He bit and killed the snake, but still had to go to the doctor or to the hospital, be rushed to the hospital. It turned out it was a dry bite instead of a.
It didn't catch no venom.
Yeah.
He Jack Bauered a snake.
See, I think Conan, but when Conan was being crucified and the bird got on and he reached over his mouth and just bit the bird. And just...
You watch 24?
No.
Oh man, I loved 24.
I don't watch things that could actually happen for the most part. I only have room in my life for things that are sci-fi and fantasy. And
24 was an incredible show. Incredible show.
It was also extremely popular, and I don't do that.
I don't like that thing. Why not? Because you like that thing.
No, really, the reason why, if it's something that I could hear about on the news, especially when I spent more time on WORD, I stayed away from that kind of stuff because you're hearing it constantly. So then it reminds you of work. So why remind yourself of work when you're at home? I know you could say same thing about sports, but it's different. Over there, it's real. Over here, we get to talk about adults playing kids' games and kids playing kids' games, and
LeBron James is the face of the NBA to this day. LeBron James is one of the most recognized athletes on a global scale. When you talk global recognition of sports, LeBron is in that discussion.
Why is that so?
You're trying to sell as much stuff as you can. LeBron James has to be on it. You want to sell an NBA lunchbox in Russia, LeBron's face has got to be on. You want to sell a jersey in France, LeBron's the guy. So if you're the NBA, you want to keep LeBron in the conversation. What aggravates me is you couldn't have one night to let Steph breathe. Steph was still holding the trophy, and we were talking about LeBron. That bugged me because you have one of the best 10 NBA players in history who just won ring number 4. Title number 4. And the first thing you had to do was, how does this impact LeBron? I don't care. It was straight up, flat out, without question, disrespectful.
Yeah,
That was a hot take.
it was.
It was a good hot take.
This is why it's used as a promotional thingy, which is
Promotional thingy.
it's a scientific term, or
Yeah, for sure.
it's a term we use in the business, thingy.
Business.
Yeah, in the business we call it a thingy.
I mean, they haven't shut down anything that's come at them so far. They're sub 500.
Look at the stream.
On the playoff race in the 2022 season. And who is the 15? None other than the South Carolina Kings.
Howdy, new to the show. Well, howdy, scurry face. What's your opinions on there possibly being 3 SEC team in the playoffs? Would it be allowed to happen? 0% chance that happens. 0% chance that happens.
Because they all play each other, and unless everybody has one loss,
Which is possible. It would require Georgia to beat Tennessee or Tennessee to beat Georgia and then lose to Alabama in the title game. In that situation, you will get 2, and whichever SEC team is the least impressive will get left out. Here would be the interesting way that looks is, what if Alabama wins every game the rest of the year, but they win them all by 1 or 2 or 3 points, including the SEC championship game? What if, let's say, Tennessee beats Georgia and then wins every game by 40 the rest of the way, but then loses to Bama? Let's say Georgia only loses to Tennessee, but then they win every other game by 40, right?
Let's see, Ohio State or Michigan could beat one another, and then the team who won loses in the Big Ten championship. Then all those teams also have one loss.
Yeah,
It's very unlikely, but it's
don't
possible.
think the committee would let that. It would make sense because there is absolutely I'll tell you what. I'm gonna bring this up. That's a good question. Let's talk about this. Our numero dos of the Rob Brown Show starts now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is great to have you with us once again. I am Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, is on the other side of the glass. Be a part of the show. Give us a buzz. 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-FAN-FONE, 844-326-3663. Text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read those on the air. And, of course, you can hit us on the social media. I am at The Rob Brown Show on all the social media. He is at Lonzo on Word on Twitter. And you can get to everybody at The Fan Upstate, on the social medias. I've heard this hypothetical brought up a couple of times, and I'm going to give it a crack here. Scurryface just checked in on the stream, which you can do as well at facebook.com/thefanupstate or by searching and subscribing to The Rob Brown Show on Twitch or on YouTube. Scurryface just checked in and said, howdy, new to the show. What's your opinion on there possibly being 3 SEC teams in the playoffs? Would it be allowed to happen? And how big would the meltdown be with fans across the country if it happened? Let's start with that. The answer to that is hilarious. It would be incredible. It would be the greatest collection of meltdowns nationwide ever.
Yeah, well, you're talking about meltdowns, but what you're doing is you are killing off an audience. I mean, because the rest of the country is like, hey, why do I need to watch that? My team's not in it.
Well, look.
And they can say it doesn't factor into it, but that's going to factor into how they pick if it's close.
Here's the thing. I don't go for that argument anymore because every time but Georgia, Alabama matched up for an SEC championship. 4 weeks later, they matched up for a national championship. And I was on the radio at the time. And everybody was like, I ain't watching. SEC v. SEC. It's predetermined. They stacked the deck. They did everything. I'm not watching. And then what did Georgia Bama do in TV ratings? Hella ratings.
The only reason why I watched this is because I was required to do it for my job because I had no rooting interest in it.
Doesn't matter. They got the numbers, right? You know what it is? It is, I ain't watching the NFL no more. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Do all those people sound like that when they say that? I'm just curious. In your mind, is that how?
In my mind, yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm a terrible person. What do you want? Yes, the number of people who said, I'm not watching the NFL anymore, didn't materialize. I'm sure that a number of you said, I'm not watching anymore and didn't. And that's fine. Good on you. It's your choice. It's America, baby. You don't want to watch? You don't want to watch. That's fine. I get it. Roll on. Have that. But the numbers were there. The numbers were there, right? Same with the SEC National Championship. We've had multiple all-SEC National Championships, and everybody said, I'm not watching, but you did. But you did. The TV numbers were there, so they don't care. Is there a level of interest amongst the College Football Playoff Committee to create drama within the college football playoffs? Yes. Yes, of course there is, right? Of course there is. That is a part of the reason, not whole, part of the reason that Clemson's at 4 and TCU is all the way down at 7 despite being undefeated as a Power 5 team, right? That's the reason. Who puts more eyeballs on TV, Alabama or TCU? Alabama. Who puts more eyeballs on TV, Michigan or TCU? Michigan. Clemson or TCU? Clemson. Clemson puts more eyes on TV than TCU. Hate watching is still watching. Watching to see someone get their face punched in is still watching.
Yeah, you're right.
I know.
No, about the hate watching. I still
I know.
disagree about the Clemson.
Hate watching is still watching. And a lot of folks around the country will watch Clemson just to watch them lose. Part of building such unique culture as they have in Clemson is people on the outside going, you guys are weird. Look at Texas A&M. I openly refer to A&M as a cult.
Yeah, you're not comparing Clemson and Texas.
No, I'm not. I'm saying when
I'm clarifying for your sake.
Yes. No, correct. When you build a unique culture, a culture that is unlike anything else in college football, everybody else in college football is gonna look at you like you're funny. It's up to you if you care or not. But going back to Scurry Face's question. There is a 0.00% chance that the College Football Playoff Committee puts 3 Southeastern Conference teams into the playoffs. 0.0% chance.
I need to interrupt for a second because it's what I do apparently. This appears to be a hypothetical. I thought you weren't supposed to do those on the radio.
I do what the hell I want. All right? I do what I want, hypothetically speaking. 0.0% chance that happens. But
there's not a 0.0 chance. It absolutely could happen mathematically. It is a possibility. It's very unlikely, but it's a possibility. If we have a bunch of one-loss teams, and it could happen.
Glad you said that, because the direction I was going was, let's try. If I asked you to create a scenario that is the most likely going to result in 3 SEC teams getting in, what would have to happen? And this is my scenario. Tennessee or Georgia win the game this weekend by a field goal, right? I'm talking great game. I'm talking like 35-32 field goal game. Last second walk-off. Similar to Tennessee and how they beat Alabama on a walk-off, right? So Tennessee beats Georgia by 3. Then Tennessee, actually, no, you know what? Let me say, let's say Tennessee beats Georgia by 3. No, let's do Georgia. I think Georgia's the better. Remember, I'm trying to create a hypothetical. I'm trying to create a hypothetical to get 3 SEC teams into the playoff. I don't want that to happen, but I got to ask if it's possible, and I'm trying to create a situation where they would. Georgia beats Tennessee by a field goal. 35-32 your final. Tennessee goes on to win every game the rest of the year by 40, right? Every game's like 45-7 or something like that. Tennessee misses the SEC championship game. Georgia goes. Alabama beats Georgia by a field goal while winning every one of the rest of their regular season games by 40. And Georgia wins every one of the rest of their regular season games by 40, then loses to Alabama by a field goal. So when it's all said and done, you've got SEC champion Alabama, who lost to Tennessee by a field goal, who lost to Georgia by a field goal, who lost to Tennessee by a field goal, right? Then you have TCU choke and drop a game in the Big 12 somewhere. You have Clemson choke against Notre Dame or Louisville or South Carolina and drop a game, right? So you've got 12-1. You've got 12-1 SEC champion Alabama. You've got 12-1 SEC runner-up Georgia. You've got 12-1 Tennessee, who did not go to the SEC championship game. 11-1 Clemson, 11-1 TCU. If Michigan drops a game between now and Ohio State and then beats Ohio State. I got 11-1 Ohio State. I got 11-1 Michigan. I got 11-1 TCU. And you got to pick 3 out of a crop of 11-1s. The college football playoff is still not going to put in 3 SEC teams because then they've got to come out. They don't have to come out. They are out and out saying, hey, the SEC is just better than everybody else. And don't get me wrong, there are absolutely years that it is, right? The SEC is objectively better than the Big Ten this year. It is objectively better than the ACC. It is objectively better than the Big 12 this year. This year. It's not every year, but this year, it most certainly is. But the committee showing favoritism like that, it may not be a great look for them moving forward for at least as long as the playoff remains at 4 teams. So that would be the best argument for getting 3 SEC teams in. But here's the thing. Even then, you can't do it because I think you end up in a spot where you would be sending an SEC team with a loss to a playoff game and leaving at home either a Big Ten champion or an ACC champion and a Big 12 champion. In order to get in 3 teams, though, you could send the SEC champion, a team that beat them in the regular season, but then you'd have to send in a team that lost to one of those 2 teams and did not make their championship game, and you would have to do it over a Power 5, at least 1 Power 5 champion, maybe 2, which absolutely diminishes the importance of winning and being a conference champion, which we put so much weight on. There is 0% chance that 3 any conference teams are going any year. You're not going to get 3 out of the same conference, but all things considered, there's a probably 65% chance the SEC gets 2 in again.
By the way, in the future, there's definitely a chance when playoffs expand.
Right. When we go to 12 or 16 or whatever we're going to. Not this year, though. Not this year. So, Scurryface, what if? Here's another what if. We'll do one more what if, and then we'll actually break down games coming up in the next segment. What if Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, and TCU lose, and now you have 3 one-loss SEC teams that are obviously better than Michigan, TCU, Clemson? How can you leave out the 3 of the true best teams in the nation? The thought there, I think, Scurryface, is going to be you have to test conference against conference, right? Like the eye test is a massive part of the discussion, right? How many of us here? I'll give you one. There's no common opponents between Clemson and Michigan. Would anybody who's not a Clemson fan take Clemson over Michigan right now? Would you take Clemson over Ohio State right now? There's no common opponents there. No. Nobody that's not a Clemson fan would take Clemson over Michigan or Clemson over Ohio State. Not only would I not, but if the number's where I think the number would be out of Vegas, I'd probably lay the points and take Michigan or Ohio State. It's not a shot at Clemson. That's just the reality. It's eye test. But that's also why we play the game. We won't know until we put them on the field, right? That was the whole point. That was the whole point of sending Cincinnati to the playoffs. Because for years, we had one group screaming, Cincinnati cannot hang with the big dogs. Cincinnati can't run with the SEC. UCF can't run with the SEC. Boise can't run with the SEC, right? We've heard Louisville can't run with the SEC or the Big Ten. We've heard this for years and years and years. And it took a while. It took a while to get a group of 5 team into the playoffs. It took a while to get a smaller school into the playoffs. But then we did. And what happened in that game? They got run, right? They got run. It was ugly. It was ugly, but they got run. When you get to that point, the eye test matters, but we are going to look and go, all right, hang on. We can't know who's going to do what until you put them on the field, you strap on the helmets, and you go play football, and you see who wins and who loses. The keep the group of 5 teams out got a big boost to their argument when Cincinnati got handled. But they were also up against a very good Alabama team. Very good 2021 Alabama team, right? So the reason that you're not going to get 3 SEC teams in, even though that is clearly the best conference, and even though, yes, Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama are 3 of the best, probably 6 teams in all of college football, is because with very, very few crossover, the eye test only takes you so far. At some point, you got to line them up and let them play. So the committee would rather take a 1-loss ACC champion and a 1-loss Big Ten champion, if this is the hypothetical that plays out, put them on the field and let them go and see what happens. There is no world that 3 SEC teams get in. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Clemson at Notre Dame. I said yesterday, I don't want style points out of this game for the Tigers. I just want you to go win the game. I don't need you to win it fancy. I don't need you to put up 50. It'd be nice if you do. I just need you to go win the game. Clemson is in the win and you're in spot, man. You're win if you win. In if you win. That's what I meant. You're in if you win. You don't need to go win by 50. Go get your game plan right. Go execute. Go get DJ feeling comfortable. Let's get a win, and let's get one step closer to a playoff. We'll break that game down next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Most trusted forecast on the Fan Upstate. Sunny skies today, high of 73. Tonight, increasing clouds, a low near 60. Saturday, a chance for showers here, cloudy, high 74 degrees. And on Sunday, a chance for rainfall, high of 75. Monday, sunshine, high of 78. And meteorologist Jennifer Winchinsky on the Fan Upstate. Currently, it's 60.
Panther safety Jeremy Chin is hoping to return from injured reserve in time for Week 10's Thursday Night Football matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. I'm Kristen Balboni with the Panthers update after this.
The only way to be your best self is with your best health. When you have a health partner who doesn't just treat part of you, they care for all of you. That's why more people prefer Atrium Health, because unrivaled care is easier, more accessible, and more complete than ever before, so that you can enjoy more of the moments you love. That's what it means to live meaningfully, to live joyfully, to live fully with Atrium Health, official healthcare provider of the Carolina Panthers.
Jeremy Chin will not be available for this Sunday's game against the Bengals. The Panthers safety is still working his way back from an injured hamstring and has not been designated to return from IR. But he said earlier this week he hopes to be healthy by next Thursday's primetime rematch with the Falcons.
He works out, still got a little bit of soreness, and I really don't want to try to push it too soon. So I'm going to rely on the training staff as well as his opinion of how he feels. So we'll make a decision here as we get closer. Definitely not this week. We'll hopefully be able to shoot for Atlanta.
The Panthers are thin at safety with Chin's replacement, Justin Burris, currently in the concussion protocol, but defensive coordinator Al Holcomb feels good about the group they have if Burris can't play this Sunday.
Miles Hartsfield's been starting for us at safety and at nickel, so, we feel confident in Miles and Xavier. We feel pretty good there. Sean Chandler, who's getting reps, has played for us and played for us last week in the game. Sam Franklin. Those are all guys that have played for us and done a good job and understand what we're trying to get done and understand the system.
I'm Kristen Balboni for the Carolina Panthers Radio Now.
I'm Michael Jenkins, helping you beat the Bucks with BetQL. With all the controversy surrounding the Brooklyn Nets, it's easy to forget they still have to play games. Nets are 2-6 on this season and will now be without Kyrie Irving for at least 5 games starting tonight in Washington. The Wizards aren't world beaters, but in 4-4 this season, they are more than capable of beating the Nets, and that's what the BetQL model is pointing towards. Today's BetQL 5-star best bet in the NBA is the Wizards over the Nets in Washington.
Anywhere fans go to cheer on their team, there are behind-the-scenes MVPs, ensuring everything is game day ready. We see you, Joe, fixing seats so every fan can enjoy every game. And Allie, who keeps her stadium running smoothly from the moment the first game starts to the last play of the season. At Grainger, you're our MVPs, and we're always here for you, with supplies and solutions for every industry and 24/7 customer support. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones.
Hey, it's Rob Brown. Listen, there are some people in the industry that are going to tell you selling a home today is a hassle. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not a hassle. It is an opportunity, and that is because home values in most
Wow, look at that parking job.
I don't want to, do I? And buyer interest is still incredibly strong. With Allen Tate, they will help you get your home ready to sell. They will help you price it right and market it to qualified buyers.
pull
so
up
you can
2
sell
feet.
it quickly for maximum.
Yeah, look at the car next to you and realize that car.
Yeah.
We'll call it Tim's
Your
car.
headlights are at the door handle of the other car.
I guess it's a way to make sure that you don't bang the car when, I don't know.
Your best offer when you work with the #1 real estate company in the Carolinas, Allen Tate. You can find them online at allentate.com. If you are looking to buy or sell, I am telling you, check them out online at allentate.com.
Hey, nobody here today.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quit.
Not that we'd be able to tell.
That's how the guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your
Right, they're
business has
backing
5
in.
or more employees
All right,
since 5
all right.
COVID,
I don't understand why, but they're backing in.
Payroll tax refund of up to $26,000.
Good job, except for you opened the door before you actually finished.
Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys
Open the
we've
door
put together
again.
are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that increases.
Why are you asking a question like that for, Kevin?
$1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/.
Rob Ninkovich picked the upset on ESPN a minute ago.
Who?
Rob Ninkovich,
Who?
former NFL player.
Who? He was, what team was he on?
Saints for a while, then the Patriots.
Patriots. Ah, okay. It's not me, Will. Here's what it is. Rob hates people who park crooked.
Correct.
So, or there's someone who didn't get their booty across the line. That booty is like hanging over that line.
It really is. And it's frankly pathetic.
And the booty ain't big enough for you to say, my booty's so big it won't fit in those lines. And the parking lot's basically empty. So there's really no excuse. It's sad. He scared that one lady off, though. She doesn't even come here anymore. I can't park straight. I'm going somewhere else. That man on the radio.
That mean man on the radio.
All right. Clemson at Notre Dame. Clemson opens up as the favorite in this one. Not by much, though. They are a 3.5-point favorite in this one, which means neutral field. Vegas likes them by about a touchdown. They are laying 3.5 in this one. Look, the Irish are not great. Okay? They're just not. This is a team under Marcus Freeman that there was a lot of excitement about. There was a lot of hype about. It is a team under Marcus Freeman that lost to Ohio State, then went 0-2 when they lost at home to Marshall. Then they beat Cal, UNC, and a top 16 BYU squad back-to-back-to-back. But then they turned around and lost to Stanford. They beat up on UNLV, and then they went to Syracuse and beat by almost 20 the same Syracuse team that took Clemson to the limit in Death Valley. Now you've got these two matched up. And I'm very interested in this game because you are talking about a team in Notre Dame that has a lot of pride. They are in their house. They are trying to Kyrie Sage out the loss to Marshall, and a win over a playoff team in Clemson would be big. I brought it up yesterday. These two teams defensively, very, very similar to each other. The difference is how. Notre Dame is ranked number 28 in overall defense. Clemson ranked number 27. The difference is that Clemson's been really good defensively against the run, whereas Notre Dame's strength is against the passing game. Notre Dame has two different running backs that are getting about 20 carries a game. They are going to run the ball at you, or at least that's been the MO all year. It's not often that I say a game can be broken down to one particular aspect. But this game can be broken down to one particular aspect. Notre Dame wants to run the ball at you. They're going to bring it at you 40-ish times in a game. Can you stop them? Right? Can you take 3rd and shorts and turn them into 4th and shorts? Can you create situations where they don't get 3 or 4 yards on first down and are battling a 1st and 10 behind the sticks and have to go through the air to get there? Can you force Notre Dame to be one-dimensional through the air playing catch-up football and not let them get comfortable in the run game, get their rhythm down in the run game? If you can, you win this game. If you can't, you lose this game. It's real simple. When the Irish do throw the ball, check this out, Lonzo. This is a ridiculous stat to me. 75% of Notre Dame's offense this year has been either a run play or a pass play to their tight end, Michael Mayer. 75% of their plays are either a run or a pass to the tight end. That's a crazy number.
So I'm guessing that they're going to run the ball Saturday.
Yeah. They're going to run the ball until they can't. And this is why Clemson's defensive end and linebackers become so important in this game. Clemson's going to have to be able to score points. I'm actually taking the under in this game. I like the under in this game because I think you are going to have a game that has a lot of grind to it, right? I genuinely think Clemson's strategy here is also run the football. Notre Dame is good against the pass defensively. Most of the good teams that Notre Dame has played against. Texas says, Rob, Notre Dame is bipolar, good against good teams, bad against bad teams. I agree. Notre Dame plays up or down to competition. You can see that on their schedule, right? You can see that on their schedule. We talked about that just a moment ago. This is a team that has a win over ranked BYU. It had a win over ranked Syracuse. Wins over Cal, wins over North Carolina, but it has losses to Stanford. It has a loss to Marshall. And, you know, a loss to Notre Dame, but that's not playing down. That's just Notre Dame's that good. And this is a project for the Irish. We know that. They're 5-3, right? But Notre Dame is a team that wants to stop you from throwing the ball. This is a game that they want you to, they're going to try to stop you from running. They want you to throw. If you're Clemson, offensive line has to overpower Notre Dame's defensive line. Don't allow their defensive backs to become assets for them. Make their defensive backs step up and play the run. So when and if you decide to throw it with DJ, they know that having Shipley and Maffa back there, that if they overplay the pass, one of those guys is going to crank one.
So this is basically a running team playing a running team. So if you are a running team in Notre Dame, then you should know how to defend that sort of thing. And if you look at what happened last week with, or 2 weeks ago, I think it was, when DJ got benched, then you're going to do everything to believe that this guy can't throw the ball. So you're going to make him beat you. Can DJ beat Notre Dame? Because he will be the key to doing that. If they can take away the run.
If they can take away the run. Again, that's the key for me. And I think it's both directions, right? Defensive lines, offensive lines. That's what's going to win this game. This is a trench game, right? This is old school. This is a trench game. If one offensive line dominates the defensive line, they're going to win the game. And that goes both directions. For the record, Notre Dame can beat Clemson, right? You shouldn't. You are better. On paper, you are better. But you're better than Syracuse on paper too. And you turn the ball over. Don't turn the ball over. Run the ball. Don't make a situation where DJ has too many opportunities to make bad decisions, right? Again, I think DJ had a bad day. I think he picked a bad day to have a bad day against Cuse. And I think the injury to his hand flared up and created a problem. Clemson was off last week. He's had 2 weeks to get that hand right or to figure out how to work with it. And you hope he doesn't have back-to-back bad days.
Well, here's the bad thing about that. So if you're Notre Dame and you're able to shut down Clemson's running game, and,
good luck.
And DJ has a bad game and they decide to pull him, you're going to stick in Cade, who obviously they didn't have enough confidence in to have him throw the ball. All he did was hand the ball off. So you can't put him in to just hand the ball off. So if you take DJ out because he's throwing interceptions and Notre Dame has stopped your running game, then all the Cade people are really going to find out if he's your future or not.
Well, I think there's a couple of things at play here. Number one, you know why Cade came in and they handed the ball off so much? Because Clemson's a running team this year. That's your identity now. Shipley and
by the way,
are your dudes.
You know, and I get it if you're a Clemson fan and you're used to the last couple quarterbacks you've had throwing it all over the place. Being a running team is not a bad thing if you've got good guys running the ball.
Being a running team is not bad at all if you're a good running team.
Right, but I think in this day and age, if you find out, well, that's a good running team, that means they don't have a quarterback.
Texas says, what is the weather going to be in Notre Dame on Saturday? On Saturday night, in fact, I'll pull up the weather because that's a great question. That could impact it as well.
Please be snow.
On Saturday, we are looking at 43 degrees with mostly clear skies. and 15 to 25 mile an hour winds with higher wind gust possible.
So what's the wind?
Clear and windy.
Does it point out what the wind chill will be?
No, but it says low of 43, so it means it's probably going to be around 50. So I would guess with wind, probably around the 40. Chilly, not unbearably cold.
Not as cold as it could be where
Right.
they're going.
Not unbearably cold. It's definitely Rob's putting a hoodie on under the shoulder pads cold, but it ain't freezing. It ain't gonna be miserable cold, right? Should not be cold enough. Shouldn't be cold enough to have a drastic impact on the game. Special teams will. Field goals will.
If you put a hoodie under the shoulder pads, you're going to be chastised, and you should be.
Say whatever the hell you want. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not.
mean, come
I'm
on.
not freezing my
Come
manhood
on.
to
on.
save the reputation of my
Don't
manhood.
put a hoodie under you.
Damn right, I'm putting on a hoodie. It's 40 degrees.
You got a helmet on.
I don't know if you know this, but my arms don't. My God, I have never got those big offensive line who roll out there in 30-degree weather with their bellies out and no sleeves.
I will tell you that fat is definitely an insulator. And if you
I'm well aware.
if you weigh a certain amount and then you lose a bunch of it, suddenly you're cold all the time. I speak from experience. When I went from 394 down into the 200s, I was cold all the time. So I completely get the fat dudes out there not feeling cold because they got all that fat.
I am fat and also cold.
You're not fat like that.
So BT Potter is going to have a challenge because that wind's going to be whipping a little bit, right? 15 to 25 with gust higher than that. That could have an impact on the game for sure. But as far as offense goes, it shouldn't be a big concern. Run the ball. Run the ball, make Notre Dame's defensive backs, which are the strong suit of this team, make them step up and play the run. Make sure every time you snap the ball, before the safety starts dropping back into coverage, trying to disguise it and forcing DJ to make a mistake to try to force the ball over the cornerback's head without hearing or without seeing the over-the-top safety help. Make sure that when the ball is snapped, the first thing he does is keep the feet planted, put the eyes in the backfield, and go eyes on Shipley or Maffa or whoever is back there. Use DJ in the run game, right? Let DJ be one of those rushing weapons for you. Run a couple of draws. Run a couple of designed quarterback draws off the edge. Let him be the asset too. When the safety sees the ball snap, I want his eyes going to DJ first, then to the running back to take that extra 75th of a second to try to recognize run and have to step up and play the run so that after a while, he lulls into comfort and you can blow one of those Bo Collins down the field routes by him. And DJ can just throw it long and the safety played the run, so he's out of position. This game plan is not difficult for me, right? Maybe it's just me. But this is not a difficult game plan to orchestrate. Notre Dame plays well against the pass. You know what you should do when a team plays well against the pass? Just do the other thing.
Run the ball.
Yeah. Run the goddamn football. Thanks, Richard, for that evergreen quote that will never go away. Clemson fans, give me your prediction. You are a field goal and a half favorite in this game. All right, a couple of texts that have come in so far. Texture says, win makes it hard to kick field goals, just saying. Yeah, said that. You're absolutely right. Which is why, if I'm Clemson, I'm going to do everything in my power not to let this come down to a game that is about field goals. I mean, in the field goal department, you got a good one in Potter. You got a good one. I do not want to ask my kicker to have to go knock down a 38, 40-yarder with wind gust above 30 miles an hour. I don't want to ask him to do that. I want to be up 7 late, so they got to try for it. They got to go for it. Texas says, go Irish, rain and gust up to 40 miles an hour predicted, Irish by 10. Rain during the day, Rain during the day, but that field's got one of those drainage systems. I do not think precipitation will be too much. Even if it is, that's advantage Clemson, I think. Now, Notre Dame has a very good run game, as we pointed out. 3 out of every 4 plays are either runs or passes to the tight end. They want to play 1950s football. And I'm here for it. But Clemson's strength is where? The defensive line and linebackers. That's their strength. They want Notre Dame to run it 40 times. That's the goal. We want you to run at us. We're too good up front. We want you to run at us. So we'll see how that plays out. Texter says, Rob, ho, you fat. I am just really happy that the greatest French basketball player of all time continues to get his love on the show. Now, I find it interesting that Steve Ho You Fat gets brought up on the show only when I'm talking about myself. I don't understand the correlation between France's greatest basketball player, Steve Ho You Fat, and why it is you decide to bring up Ho You Fat every time I am talking about myself. But I do like that there is this underground cult following of Steve Ho You Fat fans here in the upstate of South Carolina. I said, I don't get why it is when Rob talks about Rob, somebody says Ho You Fat every time. But I'm glad that Steve Ho You Fat's getting his play.
I just think you're taking it personal, and I think Ho You Fat gets mentioned about the same time every day, and it's when this listener gets to listen to the show. That has nothing to do with you.
Big Steve Ho You Fat game. I like it. Texture says, fan, where are you watching the Clemson game Saturday, Rob? That's from Rick. Rick, gonna try to hit the warehouse in Midtown. That's my goal. Gonna try to hit the warehouse in Midtown. And keep in mind, they've got their tailgate specials going on 2 hours before every game. So I may get there a little early to make sure I get some wings before they sell out. Texter says, why are we beating this TCU deal to death? 1v3 this week, Michigan, Ohio State later. College football committee is doing rankings to push ratings. People need to calm down. I think people get upset with the rankings now to prepare themselves for if the rankings get chaotic at the end of the year. But you are exactly correct. The rankings could, except for all the situations we talked about. Georgia beats Tennessee. Georgia beats Alabama. Alabama beats Georgia. Tennessee's already beat Alabama. All of them close games. A couple of losses sprinkled into the undefeated teams. It could get interesting, and people are just mentally preparing that. Texas says, Rob, it's because you punked out of Mayo. Sorry, I didn't want to die live on the air. Be a hell of a way to go out, but I don't really want to.
We all got to go sometime, somewhere. Why not do it in public?
Dying on the air is actually, I think, something that would be incredible. By the way, I'll tell you this story in the stream during the break. That happened to me at my old station. Not me. I didn't die on the air. But I did have a guy die on the air on me at my old station. I'll tell you that story in the stream during the break. If you want to join us, facebook.com/thefanupstate or The Rob Brown Show on YouTube and Twitch. Back after this on The Rob Brown Show with The Fan Upstate.
Hey, Maverick, here's the problem with me doing that. Under Armour didn't exist when I graduated from high school.
Yeah, but hoodies did.
Yeah, when I'm going to put – yeah, I'm not going to deal with that ridicule putting a hoodie under your – no.
Oh, I got the Moving the Chains guys coming on.
Now?
Yeah, I blew it. I might push them to 11.
And we can do picks at 11,
15, 20, 30, whatever.
30-ish.
30-ish.
And will serve 3 years probation. Astros take Game 5 3-2 and lead the World Series 3-2 over the Phillies, sending it back to Houston. Justin Verlander earning his first ever World Series win in 9 tries, going 5 innings, giving up a run. A solo homer by Kyle Schwarber on Verlander's second pitch of the ballgame. Game 6 Saturday night. Download the Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate, then listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Trey Westerberg with your sports flash on The Fan Upstate. I'm not there. I will.
Let's get into both those games.
I am.
No, we don't. I don't care. I'm still going to fight on that.
I'm a little bummed out because I wanted to MC that game and I got Burns football. I was going full country guy. I was going secret cowboy at the hockey game.
How? Oh, okay. Never mind. So I don't think you could be a secret cowboy with the way you dress to a cowboy event, but that's the joke. And
I'm a secret cowboy.
Great. Now you've got Rhinestone Cowboy stuck in my. I know. I'd rather go back to the Elton John. Quick, someone on the stream, like throw up an ancient song, not something recent that I would know to get Rhinestone Cowboy out of my head.
I'm sailing away.
Yeah, but I can't do that because I hear Cartman.
Set an open course.
And that makes me think of Chris, and that makes me think I said something wrong and he's about to correct me.
To be free.
Keegan, really? No. There we go. Thank you, Will. Because who doesn't want to be held close by Tony Danza? I'm sure he smells of musk. Stop it.
Don't tell me.
You were going to tell a story during the break about someone dying.
Yeah. There was a guy years ago.
You got 1 minute to tell the story.
I lived down in Destin. I was sponsored by Hooters at the time. And I was doing two shows. I was doing the afternoon drive and I was doing the morning drive at the same time. Well, the dude that ran a restaurant down there decided to pay to do a lunchtime show, right? So I'm driving around listening to the lunchtime show because he led into mine. And he had a co-host and a producer. And he's talking, and then he just goes silent. And I hear the other guy start yelling the guy's name. His name was Stewart. He went by Stu. He was like, Stu, are you all right? You heard as dude hit the floor. He had a full-on devastating fatal heart attack, like dead before he hit the floor, live on the air. And the producer he panicked and he didn't cut the mic. So he ran into the room, left the mics on, and we listened to them try to revive this guy. It was horrifying.
Wow.
Horrifying. And then I had to do my show. All right, ordinarily this is a segment where we would have John and Kevin on the Moving the Chains podcast join us. They are going to join us to bat leadoff in the next hour of the radio broadcast because Rob came off the clock.
That's so surprising.
Shocking,
Yeah,
I know.
I know.
Shocking,
It's
I
my
know.
fault. I should have kept you in line, and I didn't
Well,
do
you
it.
kept interrupting me and it pushed us back.
I did. You know, that adds more time to the
Yeah.
actual thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
It's on you. Because I had a couple of people text during the break, they were like, what? I mentioned that I had a dude die live on a station I was managing one time. I had a guy that was doing a midday show before my afternoon drive time show that I let into, and name was Stu. Super nice guy. They were doing a show. He had a co-host. Was he a co-host and a producer that we had just hired like 2 weeks before that? Did the training. It was either his first or second day running a show by himself. Ordinarily, I'd have been there, but I had a lunch meeting. I was out. I'm listening to the show, and I hear, Stu's talking, and he just stops mid-sentence, which is very weird because unlike me, Stu was a dude that just the words never stopped. They just kept coming. He just stops talking. I hear the co-host go, Stu, like freak out. And as he's saying that, you just heard something hit the floor hard. He's yelling, Stu. The producer at the time, who was, again, it was brand new. It's not on him, but it is a little bit. Did not think hit the commercial button and start running commercials and turn the mics off. He panicked. He ran into the other room to help, forgot to cut the mics, and for about a minute and 15 seconds until somebody else in the building recognized what was happening, ran in there and hit the mic off button. You heard them try to wake up Stu and try to get the ambulance called. Stu was dead before he hit the ground. And then what did Rob Brown get to do? 45 minutes later, go in there and try to do a show like a dude didn't just die on the microphone I was talking into. It was wild.
I'm disappointed that you're blaming the producer. I mean, because
I just said it wasn't his fault.
Yeah, I know. Because whether you're new or not, that happening would it's a matter of seconds. Possibility of trying to help save someone's life. So I think the commercials are secondary. I'm just kidding.
I was going to say,
I'm just kidding.
I love the aspect of the story of I had a dude die on me live on the air, and Lonzo's like, yeah, but producer stuff.
By the way, I
producer stuff.
I'm not trying to paint Rob in a bad light. I started saying that and realized that made you look really bad, and I didn't want to do that because it's no. No, that's horrible. It really is. And I think everyone, especially if you work with older people, which is reversed now for me. But if you work with older people, I think every producer has thought, what happens if something, I was working with a guy one time and he just put his hands on the, I'm going to go with table, put his hands like this and he leaned back in his chair. His face went completely white and his eyes started to roll back in his head. And I'm like, oh God, he's dying. What do I do? And he kind of hit the wall behind him and it just brought him back. And it's like, and then we finished the show, but it's like, okay. And the whole time I'm like, you okay? You sure you're okay? You sure you want to finish? I can find something to put on. You sure you're all right? Yeah, I'm good.
Stu did not come back from hitting the ground because Stu was gone already. And, when I came up here, I don't know if you remember, Alonzo, because Diesel was running the show, but when I came up here in 2020 to do my audition, I landed on Sunday to come in and do a Monday and Tuesday show as an audition, and I landed Sunday to find out that Kobe Bryant had passed away in that helicopter accident, right? So I had to come in and do this show the way I do the show the day after Kobe Bryant died, and I was like, how do I handle this, right? Still not the most awkward thing I've ever had to do on radio. When I come into the studio where a dude died 45 minutes ago and had just vacated via ambulance and be like, hey, everybody, let's talk college football. I was like, I do not know what to do here. It was wild. All right, when we come back to get the next hour kick started off, Kevin Thomas, John Epps from Moving the Chains. Why? Because it is high school football playoff round number 1 tonight. Burns at Hillcrest. That was going to be live right here on the Fan Upstate. Very sexy play-by-play guy on the call this evening. Me. So make sure you stick around for that. We'll ask him about that game. South Point at Greer, Dorman at Clover, and a handful of others. We'll run through those games next. Then we break down South Carolina Vandy and make our Boo Box pits before we call it a day on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
What's the matter? You coming down from your normal?
Yes, that is exactly.
You got an entire hour to go.
What is happening. This is the point where I would pop another one.
You could, at this moment, as you're standing there, be feeling the wonderful carpet on your bare feet.
No, I couldn't.
Yeah, you could.
I mean, physically I could, but no, I couldn't. What an appropriate day to wear this hoodie.
You can try to sell it as much as you want. Still not that great of a punishment.
2-series lead on the Phillies. They could win the World Series tomorrow night in Houston. The Eagles found success in Houston last night.
Have we effectively killed any more Dukes talk on this show, though? I think maybe we have, because it can't be brought up without talking about a punishment that was never fulfilled. So many ways to win.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com.
So, are you a snitch, a rat, a bad guy? If you just happen to be out and you saw Rob drinking a carbonated beverage and you took a picture and sent it in? He says he's going to do it. I believe he's going to do it. But let's say he didn't and you saw it. Would you consider yourself a snitch?
Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on qualify me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
What's the best product I bought this year? Oh, that's easy. Salon Plus pain relieving patches. The proven medicines in Salon Plus patches reduce my pain and let me do the things I need to do every day.
Kevin, what's up, fella?
How's it going, guys?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Doing well. Trying out my phone this week. My felt like my screen was kind of dragging, a little bit laggy.
It was. Your phone's better than your laptop, man.
Had too many programs running, probably. All this work I got to get done for Odyssey.
Well, somebody's got to do it. Might as well be you, because that ain't going to be me.
Wait. How are you doing work at home? How is that possible?
I know. Could you believe it? I mean, really, I'm just doing laundry, laying on the couch, catching up on whatever TV show I DVR last week.
Kevin's got some General Hospital to watch.
Yeah, I got to get out of here before 12. That's when Gunsmoke and Bonanza start rolling on TV land. So,
Not mad about that. Bonanza, what a reference.
Hey man, don't short sell Hoss. That was a man, Hoss.
He was a big gentleman.
I watched The Patriot again last night. I forgot how good that movie was.
It's a good one.
Tragic.
Love The
I
Patriot.
like it. That's probably my favorite Mel Gibson movie.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
I would say it's towards the top of the list for sure.
Braveheart. But I would also say
Yeah,
Lethal Weapon.
A little more.
Love Braveheart. Love Lethal Weapon. So I've been asking if you are a snitch, if you saw someone out doing something that they weren't supposed to do and you took a picture and sent it into the show.
I literally told people to snitch.
Yeah, I know. But just because you tell them to do it doesn't mean they're going to. That's not how that
punishment,
works.
Kev,
Lame.
and you know how many energy drinks I put down a
Lame.
week. There's no carbonated drinks for a week, and then I extended it to 2 weeks because of how many people said that was weak. And that includes beer, soda, which is what I mix my liquor with, et cetera, et cetera.
Soda.
And then one of our listeners put up $100 bounty to any listener that can catch me drinking a carbonated beverage, which they won't because I'm not going to, because I'm a man of honor and
You
integrity.
mean a beverage like this?
Just like that Diet Dr. Pepper.
I mean, if you want to, Rob, we could just set it up, and I'll take the picture, and I'll give you half the money.
No, because $50 is not worth the punishment I have to go through if I get caught.
Understandable.
I just love that listeners are putting bounties on me. That's fantastic.
Could have just went to Mad World and it would have solved everything. By the way, Mad World in the next break.
Perfect.
It's true. Tomorrow night, last night.
Yeah.
And you could have been there.
Darn.
We could have been there.
If only I would have drawn it. You had a lot of chances to beat me and make me draw it.
He's going to do all that, but his punishment is lame.
John coming in with a buzzer beater. Love to see it. The third, the final, the best, the money hour. The Rob Brown Show starts now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo with you. It is week number 1, round number 1 of the South Carolina High School football playoffs, which means it is time to welcome into the show the boys from the Moving the Chains podcast. Joining us today, Kevin Thomas, John Epps here on the radio broadcast. You can find the Moving the Chains podcast on the website, movingchains.com. No G in that. Same with their social handles, Moving Chains on Twitter and Instagram, and pull down their podcasts off of Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever major podcasts are found. If you are a follower of high school football, Moving the Chains must be put onto your weekly listen list. Fellas, what's happening?
Rob, man, I'm so excited for football. Obviously round 1, you don't get a lot of the best matchups, but still great to have that new season. Everybody's 0-0, man. I'm ready to get it rolling.
Yeah, let's just jump right in. And once again, because it's my show and I want to, let's go straight to Burns at Hillcrest. The Rebels, 7-3, dropped a couple within the region, but then wrapped up the year with a big win, 30-21 over Gaffney. And before anybody asks, yes, Gaffney rolled in there with the ones. Gaffney rolled in there to win the game, and Burns won the game. Colby Shaw, 306, 4 touchdowns. RJ Livingston got back healthy. Kai Cook had 102 and a pair of touches in that one as well. Burns picked a real good week to have a real good week. Hillcrest, kind of the opposite, started the year white hot and then kind of started to trail off the deeper we got into the season. If Burns is at their peak and Hillcrest is in a valley, is this an upset?
Yeah, this is probably the best game of the weekend, in my opinion, Rob. Burns started off so great. You mentioned it, had a couple down games there. They're hot now, and they got the offense going last week. That's what they had to do. They had some big games out of those wide receivers, Cook and Bomar. Hillcrest on the other side, big win over JL, man. Bennett Judy continued to do his thing. 4 touchdowns last week. Avery McFadden went for 200+ and a couple scores there. This game, I said on our preview show this week, may have the most athletes of any game in the state. Like, there are just so many explosive players both sides of the ball. It could come down to a big turnover, a big special teams return, something like that. But this is going to be a great game. I'm excited to see these Burns corners, Bomar and crew, against these Rams wide receivers like Avery McFadden, Jalen Neal, etc. I think it comes down to which defense can make a stop when they have to. And I trust the Hillcrest defense a little bit more. But this should be a great ball game tonight.
John, I'm kind of interested here, and I want to get your thoughts on the whole game, but break down the quarterbacks for me because, Colby Shaw was white hot earlier in the year. I mean, 400, 500 yards of offense multiple times. Then Spartanburg happened, and then Dorman happened, and those numbers came down a little bit, and folks started popping questions about the guy. But then last week, 306 and 4 touches against a very good Gaffney who won that region. On the flip side, Bennett Judy has been good all year long, 259 and 4 TDs last week in a win over JL. Man, I agree with Kev that the defenses and special teams are going to be enormous in this because I definitely think every possession matters more than the last, but this could very well turn into a QB shootout too. We can't hear you, John. We need you to turn. Oh, wait, hang on. There you go. There it is. Helps when you turn the mic on. Listen, took me 15 years in this business to learn that, John. Don't worry about it.
It'll get me again. It happens.
All right, give me your thoughts.
The big thing here for Burns and great thing for Colby Shaw is getting RJ Livingston back. What is the best thing you can do for a passing game? Having a good ground game, a good run game, and having Livingston back to supplement that great passing offense for Burns is going to be huge for the Rebels. He's proven he can sling it. He's got all those weapons now. They've done it against, you could probably say, the best front seven in the state against Gaffney last week. That was super impressive what they did last week against those guys. And I tell you what, confidence is a heck of a thing when you get some young guys together and get to believe in themselves. Rob, you know that as well as anybody, how confident this Burns team was at the beginning of the year when they had things rolling. They got that confidence back again going into tonight after last week's big rivalry run, Hillcrest could be in a little bit of trouble over at Chandler Stadium. I could see this being a shootout, really having Shaw, Judy on display, flinging the ball all over the field. It could be a lot of fun and certainly could be a very close game.
So what's your lane? You're not getting off that easy. What's your lane?
I'm still going Hillcrest. Too much talent. You know, Kevin mentioned Cauldron and Avery McFadden over on the other side. I think the difference maker in this game, Kevin mentions defense. I'm going to say special teams. I think the difference in this game is Hillcrest, McFadden makes a big play on a punt return or a kick return, and that's going to be the deciding factor in a close ball game.
All right, let's take a look at a couple of other matchups also out of that region. Dorman wraps up at 8-2. They are at Clover. Dorman had a couple of very close ones, including last week, a 42-41 win over South Point that went for two late. Keeping an eye on DJ Porter. He was, and the Burns folks saw DJ Porter up close. Dude is an animal, but he's been a little bit banged up. What does Dorman need to do, John Epps, to make sure they get by Clover tonight?
You still got to do what you've been doing all year. You got to establish that ground game. Even if you don't have Porter, you've got Foster too. Lean on what you've been good at all year. Clover's got a really good defense. This is a team that is not going to give you anything. And for Dorman, just don't go outside your comfort zone here in the first round. You're the better team. You should win this game. Don't try to do too much. Don't try to throw the ball all over the field, get in trouble, give Clover a short field. Their offense is not great, but they're good enough to be very competitive in this ball game. And Dorman just needs to not make any catastrophic mistakes by turning the ball over and giving Clover an advantage that they don't deserve, I should say. You know, don't give them the ball. Don't give this away. If you got to be boring and just run the ball all night, do it. Get past this game because Clover is a very good football team. They can play some ball, but they're not great. They're not to the level of Dorman.
Yeah, I agree. Clover, if you're a Clemson fan and a Dorman fan and you're going to this game, look out for wide receiver Deion Brown. He's actually a Clemson baseball commit, really good player there for Clover. Dorman actually beat these guys earlier in the season, 37-23, so kind of odd to see a first-round rematch here. But Dorman's just a better football team. You know, I know the last week they had injuries reporter. They had to go to their third-string quarterback for a little bit to kind of find a spark there. They've just got too much talent. They should win this game with Coach Curtis, even though they're on the road. I like Dorman here by 10-14 probably.
South Point, 7-3. They are they take on 4-6 Greer. South Point coming over a 20-point win last week. Greer's coming off of a win over Riverside, an excellent overtime game in which LaDainian Martin went for 272 and 4 touchdowns. The team can move the ball a little bit. King Greer record at 4-6 doesn't look great, but they've had some competition. Kmart, throw me some thoughts on this one.
This is a 3-2 matchup where the 3 seed is actually probably the better team in South Point. They just play in a super tough region, finished behind Catawba Ridge and Northwestern, who lost 2 games between the two of them. So it's certainly understandable why they're there in that 3 line on the road. But they've got as much talent as anybody on the state, Rob. Back in week 0, this South Point team destroyed Gaffney, that was a defending state champ, beat the brakes off those guys. If they can get any play from offense, they're going to be a really tough out. And Malachi Marshall, Caleb Sims, Kendrick, those guys, they kind of got it figured out last week. Defensively, DJ Barksdale and AJ Miller are 2 of my favorite players around. That South Point team has so much talent. I know Greer is hot right now. I think the Stallions are too much.
I think so too. South Point, you talk about that talent they have. It's hard to go against them, but then you go, geez, they beat Gaffney. They got all this talent. How did they lose 3 games? You're not really sure what you're going to get from the South Point squad when they step on the field. Completely demoralizing the game in South Florence earlier this year. If you can get them a little bit off their game, get them inside their own head, you're under the water tower. Who knows what could happen here? Greer's been playing good football. LaDainian Martin, he's worth the price of admission to begin with. If nothing else, he's worth watching. Awesome player. Talk about his numbers from last week. He's done it multiple times this year. If he gets hot and Greer puts some points up on the board, Greer could get inside themselves a little bit, get a little worrisome, and could see an upset. But I think South Point wins this game too. But definitely, if you're in the area, great game to go see. You're going to see a lot of talent on that South Point side. LaDainian Martin should be putting on a show. Should be a fun game to be at.
All right, a couple more. White Knoll is at TL Hanna. White Knoll, a team that can kind of roll up the scoreboard on you a little bit. TL Hanna has had a handful of really good games, come up on the wrong end a couple of times, the right end a couple as well. Break that one down for me, Kevin.
White Knoll, a 4 seed, but I think they've got the talent to possibly pull an upset here. They're frisky. That offense with the sharp kid at quarterback can really light it up. And TL Hanna, with that wing T, they don't really score in bunches. So this is a game where if White Knoll could somehow get an early lead, go up a score, 2 scores, they could really cause some issues for TL Hanna. But on the flip side, the Yellow Jackets, they want to get the ball, control the clock. I think they're a little bit better, a little bit tougher. But this is one to definitely keep your eye on here in the 1-4 matchups this week.
I'm going heavy TL Hanna here. I know White Knoll, they've got a good offense. They can score. But this is a team that they just got stomped by Dutch Fork a few weeks ago. Lost to a good River Bluff team that we saw earlier this year. TL Hanna, their program, they just win. They find ways to win. They run the ball. It's an uncomfortable offense to have to defend. It's different from a lot of offenses that teams are facing nowadays. It's more that old school offense that you used to see in high school football. And the quarterback play is so big. We talk about all levels of football, how important it is to have good quarterback play. And TL Hanna has that. They may not throw the ball, but you still have to have that trigger man knowing when to pitch that ball, when to take it himself. And he does a great job at the helm doing that. And they've been playing pretty good defense lately too. TL Hanna is a really, really hot team right now. And for me, even being a 1 seed, they're a little bit of a sleeper for me. I think they could really challenge the Gaffneys and Dutch Forks here in the upper state bracket.
The old 1 seed sleeper happens all the time. Wren is at Seneca, and we'll wrap it up with this one, fella. John Wren at Seneca. Wren intrigues me because Wren gave Burns a lot of problems for about 2.5, 3 quarters before Burns kind of hit the gas and took away late. A team with a sophomore starting quarterback, but one that was able to, for a while, get up and down the field on an injured, but on a good Burns team nonetheless. They are on the road at Seneca, but Seneca can put up points in bunches too.
Yeah, Seneca, they get a little bit forgotten about because they're in that region with Daniel. So everybody just sees Daniel at the top of that region. Seneca gets a little bit left out, and that's a little unfair for the Bobcats because they are a really good team, and they played very solid throughout the entire season. Wren is solid. They can play. That quarterback you mentioned, very, very good player for them. They had to replace a lot. They had a lot of people left between last season and coming into this season, so I know that's been tough. Wren can put up some points to be competitive in this ball game, but when it comes down to it, I think Seneca is just the better overall team in this game. They're playing at home. I like the Bobcats here.
Yeah, Coach Jeff Tate with Wren does a great job. He's made the switch the back half of the year to really get the ball in their best players' hands all the time. Defensive back commit for Wake Forest, Trayvon West, has been playing both ways, playing some running back. And they're giving him 20-plus touches on offense, which is what you got to do, when you don't have a lot of other talent around there, get your best guy the ball a lot. So he's done a great job with that. But the Bobcats, Jackson Burnett, Kate Evans, those guys, they've been tough. Had a couple slip-ups against, Daniel and St. Joe's earlier this year. But this is a really talented team that, like John said, just kind of gets forgot about. I think Seneca wins this one at home, and I think they probably win by a couple scores.
All right. We got John Epps. We got Kevin Thomas. They host the Moving the Chains podcast, available on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play, wherever major podcasts are found. They go across the state with South Carolina high school football. Make sure you follow them on the social media as well at Moving Chains, especially on the Twitter where they go live. One of my favorite things, they go live with a Twitter Spaces when the final scores start to roll in. And it's not just them talking scores. They bring in players and coaches and very handsome play-by-play guys to give full breakdowns of the game. Make sure you're following them on Twitter. Kevin, John, appreciate you boys, and we will see you next week for week 2.
Talk to you tonight, Rob.
Yep, I'll catch you later.
You got it. Later on, fellas, that is Kevin Thomas. That is John Epps. They are the host of the Moving the Chains podcast. Again, movingchains.com, movingchains.com, or across the social media at Moving Chains. Let's take a break. When we come back, We'll do Boo Box Bets. It's time. Let's go on the record. We got 10 games, 5 college, 5 pro. Loser eats another punishment on Monday. Maybe literally.
Let's hope that that the next time Rob draws out of the box, it's something a little more visual, a little more audible, something that everyone can be happy
Can you
with.
not hear me slowing down right now?
Oh, I'm looking at your eyes,
Yeah.
man. Your eyes are drooping big
Yeah.
time. It's it's an interesting look for you.
This is going to be an intervention, is what this is.
You
It's
think
an
so?
accidental intervention for the amount of monsters that I put
Also,
down during
it's
a week.
also something that some people call detox. I mean, you know,
Next Wednesday, I'm going to be like,
I don't know.
South Carolina
Do you
wins.
do you get
Clemson
the
wins.
shakes when you come off of something like
Stop
this?
I don't know. I've never
It's-
done it.
It's like because it's the opposite. I mean, you're coming down. You're not. I don't know. We'll see. We'll all get to witness it.
All right, when we come back, let's take a look at Boo Box Bets. Then we'll give you the thoughts on South Carolina Vandy, on Carolina Cincinnati, and put this thing to bed on a Friday. Rob Lonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate.
I will.
All right, stream. We will be right back. Hold on tight.
Emmett Smith.
All right, we're back, y'all.
Regenerative treatments for joint pain from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics.
Did you know that you can encourage your body to actually heal itself with the help of QC Kinetics?
QC Kinetics uses biological.
See if the elevation affects my shot.
The elevation.
Up like a half inch.
The elevation.
It's definitely elevation. Maybe it helped. I don't know. 3 for 3, baby. Yeah.
That's what it was. The floor was too low.
It was. Figured it out, though. So that's the sound of carbonation being released.
Courtney last night when I told her, or when we were talking about it, was like, you are going to go into caffeine withdrawal. And I was like, probably.
Well, you can't say this is what cold turkey feels like because you had caffeine before the show, before you start. So you haven't went down that road yet.
Not yet.
You've taken a step towards it. And what a beautiful day to stop drinking carbonated beverages. It's not like it's nice and dreary outside.
Yeah, man.
I'm more, I didn't think about this.
Really good thing. I just like whiskey.
I'm more concerned about Burns tonight.
I mean, it is what it is.
See, Josh gets it. Floor height is definitely. I mean, because I'm up.
What was the NBA team last year that they found out the rim was like 3/4 inch higher on one side than the other? Was it in Brooklyn? Probably was.
Yeah, helped them out, didn't it?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my 2-week punishment for losing last week's Boo Box Bet selections has engaged. It started at 9 a.m. 2 weeks, no carbonated beverages, which, yes, I get a lot of people like, that's weak. For me, it's not. That's a lot, dude. It's a lot. It's like the majority of what I drink. It just is. During the show, off the air, even when I'm out watching games on the weekend, having a couple of cold ones there are no more cold ones with the boys. It is moved to not Jack and Diet. It's just Jack now.
So because I am a kind individual, well known for that, by the way, very, very kind.
Yeah.
So come Monday, if you decide that you can't handle it, it's affecting your performance everywhere, and that you would rather just go ahead and go with the bare feet, I will allow it. So, I mean, if we get to Monday and you decide the weekend was too rough, you can't go the 2 weeks, that you'd rather just go bare feet for 3 hours to negate all that you're dealing with, I am willing to do that.
You and I both know that that's not going to happen.
No, we don't know. I am offering this because I am starting to see the decline right now. So by Monday, it very well might be something that you would consider.
If I can make it to Monday, first off, I don't have to negotiate with you. I've already, if the punishment is, if I crack, I do the barefoot show.
It's not a negotiation. What I'm saying is, if I see you're failing, if I think that your performance on the air is going down and it's going to affect us overall.
I'm a damn professional. It won't.
Dude, you're drooping in your chair. You're drooping in your chair right now.
I'm blaming the carpet. I'm
it's only
sinking
been
into the carpet.
No. Elevation's higher, not low.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're drooping in your chair right now. It's only been a couple hours. What are you going to do by tonight?
Have it figured out. Figure something else out. I'll figure something out. I'm good. I got this. All right. So the 2 weeks have begun. Now Let's see if Rob Brown can get it turned around and get back to winning ways with today's BooBox Bet selection. Lonzo, you get to pick spaces or laces.
I still don't understand this, so I'm going to go with laces. It ain't like I can see it. It probably spins different on the carpet, though.
I don't know that it doesn't or does not, but you pick laces. It is spaces. With the list of games, I think I'm going to defer today. I think I'm going to let you bat lead off on this one. I think Lonzo's going to take the odd number games, Rob the even, and we start with game number 1. The Aggies of Texas A&M head back to Kyle Field, and they welcome in the mighty Gators of Florida. Texas A&M is -3.5 in this one. So the Ags got to beat Florida by 4 or better at their own house, where they've already lost to Appalachian State. Lonzo, first crack at it. You going Jimbo, the biggest fraud in college football, or Billy Napier and his Gators?
Wow, this is a hard game to pick because only a fan would be willing to watch it. This thing's lame. It really is. I don't know why this is on here. First of all, the colors for at least one of those teams is very lame. Because some people, that's how they pick. They go, well, I like these colors, but I can't do that on either one of these. I am going to go with the money in this and go that Texas. Well, I mean, the money that they paid all their players to come and play for them. So in case you need a clarification, so I'm going to go with Texas A&M to cover.
So am I. I'm actually going A&M -3. I can't stand
Florida.
A&M.
You know, I heard it said. I think maybe I heard it on these airwaves that Florida was back.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, after week 1, I was like, AR's going to New York for the Heisman celebration. You know, even Michael Jordan missed a shot here and there, right? Like even Jordan missed a playoff shot here and there. What are you going to do? Give me the Aggies. They the one thing the Aggies actually do well is defend the pass, right? Like that's the one thing they do well. They're like number 7 in pass defense nationally. Florida is still trying to force the ball through the air. A&M gets a big turnover, maybe 2, and it benefits by way of a 7-point win. I'll take the Aggies. We go to game number 2. Tennessee is at Georgia in this one. The Bulldogs defending the house. They are 8.5-point favorites, so they got to win by 9 points or better in this one. Look, Stetson Bennett has been good this year. But Stetson Bennett can still be rattled if you get to him, right? Mizzou's defense got to Spencer Rattler. Threw some interesting looks at them, threw them off a little bit, changed what South Carolina wanted to do. Obviously, South Carolina is nowhere close to what the Georgia Bulldogs are, but Tennessee's got a pretty good, not great, but pretty good front 7. If they can rattle Stetson Bennett, they might get an extra possession or 2. Tennessee is for real on offense. Georgia's going to win the football game, but I am taking the Volunteers to cover. Give me Tennessee +8.5.
All right, so I'm not so sure about Georgia winning this game. Here's the thing. Tennessee's number 1. When's the last time anyone even said that without laughing? And it was true, and it's true. They're the number 1 team in the land, and we didn't see that coming. We're okay with it, but we didn't see it coming. So the question is, are the players, are they overly hyped? Like, see, we told you we're number 1. Or are they going to go out and play like the number 1 team in the land? Georgia does not cover.
So we both got Tennessee +8.5. Alabama is at LSU, and the Tide are 13.5-point favorites. Got to win by 2 touchdowns or better. Zoe, you're betting lead off here.
All right, so Bama, I'm sure feels disrespected. They lost a game. They know they're right where they need to be. But this is for the West.
It is.
They have to win this game.
I mean, they've got to win every game if they want to playoff berth. but they lose this game and they theoretically lose the SEC West.
And they're out of the CFP. So, I mean, because they're not going to get in with 2 losses. Even Alabama's not getting in with 2 losses.
They can't lose again, but they also must win the SEC championship. So punching the ticket is step 1.
All right. So not only do they need to win, they need to win convincingly. I'm not sure they can do that with LSU, but I'm going to roll with the Tide. They cover.
All right. So Lonzo's taking Bama minus 13.5. I'm going LSU.
I thought he was getting a little too excited about me picking that. Okay.
I wasn't getting excited. I genuinely, this is my most coin flip pick.
Well,
that's right where the score is going to land. This is an LSU team that struggled early. They lost on the last play of the game to Florida State because they got a PAT block. They had all the momentum going into OT. They'd have won that, and they would have been sitting there at 7-1 right now. The only team that's really beat them is Tennessee, but Tennessee's beaten everybody right now. And since then, they have scored 45 in back-to-back games. They may not score 45 against Bama, but they can stay within 2 touchdowns in Baton Rouge at night. That stadium is going to be ripping because now that Tennessee beat Bama, Nick Saban has won all but I think 2 games in Baton Rouge since he left LSU. LSU wants a little payback too. Give me the Tigers plus 13.5 in this one. And that brings us to South Bend, Indiana, where the Clemson Tigers find themselves minus 3.5 on the road. So Clemson's got to go to South Bend and win by 4 or better. Listen, Notre Dame is excellent against the pass. Okay against the run. Clemson, do me a favor. I do not want to go barefoot in this office. Run the goddamn football, as the great Richard Sherman would say. Give me Clemson minus 3.5 on the road at Notre Dame. A Notre Dame team that's inspired. A Notre Dame team that's played much better football the last 4 weeks. It's still Notre Dame. It's still Clemson. Give me the Tigers minus 3.5.
I've said many times on these airwaves, every week when we do this, Clemson is the ACC. Clemson is not going to lose to an ACC team. I know they struggled last week, but they still won. But Notre Dame is not in the ACC. But Clemson's still going to cover.
So he's got Clemson minus 3.5 as well. And we wrap it up right over in Nashville, Tennessee, home of the Vanderbilt Commodores. They will be hosting the Gamecocks of South Carolina. USC was a 4-point favorite last week, and they lost outright. This time, a 7-point favorite on the road at Vandy. Got to win by 8 or better, but a touchdown push is available in this one. Lonzo, all you.
All right, all you Clemson people, if they lose to Vandy, just quit getting so excited about it. Just worry about your team, because I know it's you that's doing all the texting on the text line. We got your numbers. We know, and you know, sign Clemson Tom, sign Clemson
brother.
Joe.
We got your numbers.
Sign Tiger Bill. I mean, we get all that, okay? South Carolina is not going to lose to Vanderbilt. And here's one of the main reasons why. They got all hyped up and excited about being 25 last week, and look what happened. You got your coach to look like angry. I mean, we haven't seen that before, to look disappointed, to look a lot of things. At least every week, well, they tried really hard. We're in the right direction. We didn't really hear that last week, did we? No, we did not. So I think Carolina is going to be motivated, and not only are they going to win, they're going to win big.
So he's taking the Gamecocks minus 7. So am I. For the exact, I don't even need to elaborate, for the same reason, right? This is a gut check game. If this team comes out and does anything but beat, not win, beat Vanderbilt, all the Shane Beamer goodwill is gone. You can be the nicest guy, the funnest guy, the coolest guy in the world. But if you can't beat Vanderbilt, I got no reason to believe this team has taken a single step forward. And that brings us to the National Football League. Las Vegas is on the road at Jacksonville. The Jags are plus 1.5 at home. So add a 1.5 to Jacksonville's final. And if they win, you win the bet. Listen, teams make mistakes. Last week, Trevor made mistakes. I'm not going to say that L was only on Trevor, but the two picks were because they were both really, really bad picks. At some point, I think Trevor Lawrence is smart enough to pull it back a little bit, to relax just a little bit. And oh, by the way, I don't know if you've heard of this Travis Etienne kid. He's pretty good. Pretty good. Couple of 100-yard games over the last few weeks. Jacksonville is a team that is on a learning curve. They learned a big lesson last week. They should have, could have, would have beat the Denver Broncos. Las Vegas got blanked by New Orleans last weekend, 24-0, could not find the uprights, forget the end zone. The Jags plus 1.5. Duval gets the outright dub and then some this weekend, Lonzo.
Wow. So, I mean, Jacksonville, I thought for sure they're going to win. Look at who you played last week. You lost to that team? You lost to that team. You let them ride all over you. So
Broncos country.
Yeah.
Let's ride.
Man, the Raiders are really this bad. Jacksonville.
Remember Darren Waller, who is a massive chunk of their offense, was not playing last week. I believe they get him back this week.
Jacksonville not as bad as they were. Are we talking about another Clemson quarterback who needs to take the ball out of his hands and hand it to the Clemson running back? Is that what we're doing here?
Goddamn football.
Is that what we're doing here? That's exactly what we're doing here. Let Etienne run the ball. Yeah, Jacksonville.
All right, so we both got Jacksonville plus 1.5. Buffalo is at the New York Jets, a surprising New York Jets team this year. Cooled off maybe a little bit since their early success, but a Jets team that nonetheless has impressed some people earlier in the year. They are 5-3, but now Josh Allen comes to town, and the Bills, Lonzo, are laying 11 points in this one. Minus 11. I'm batting leadoff. You know what's bigger than 11? 17. The number of the MVP in the league this year. Josh Allen. This one's going to be tight. I'm thinking a 13-point game, maybe a 12-point game, but give me the Bills to cover. Josh Allen does not have back-to-back questionable games. He had one last week. He won't this week. Give me the Bills minus 11 over the Jets.
You know, I really would like to go with the Cougar Hunter. I would like to go with the Cougar Hunter. but Josh Allen.
All right, so a pair of Buffalo picks here. We are so far pick for pick in the NFL. LA is at Tampa Bay. The Brady's at home are laying 3. Tampa's got to win by 4 or better over the Rams in this one, Lonzo.
All right, so Tom Brady is a free man. Is that going to matter on the field? I don't know because we don't know what all the reasons are about that, but we know that off-field things, just like out-of-work things, can affect your performance at work. And his performance has really been affected to the point where I think he's lost 3 in a row now.
First time since 2002.
You know what's worse than 3 in a row, Rob?
4 in a row.
That would be 4 in a row.
That would be 4 in a row.
Give me the Rams.
The Rams in this one. I am going LA as well here. Listen, I saw Brady in his press conference yesterday, and for the first time this year, he kind of looked like he was like, okay, right? Like really, some of the other press conferences we've seen, especially in the midst of the losing streak, Brady has looked not just unhealthy, he's looked sad, right? And I'm not a psychologist, nor did I stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night, but he looked sad. He looked beaten down. I saw a video of his presser yesterday. It's the first time that Brady looked like he was really dialed in. First time that Brady was kind of smiling, kind of chuckling. I wonder how much pressure has been relieved off of him to be done, right? All right, lawyers, go take care of this. I'm going to play football without thinking about anything else now. That being said, Tampa's still one of the most injured teams in football. They're still across the front 7, not in good spot. That's where the Rams are best. They take advantage. They get a turnover. Give me LA plus 3. Now we wrap it up with 2 more picks. Chargers are minus 3 at Atlanta in this one. The LA Chargers travel to take on Marcus Mariota and your NFC South Division leaders, the Atlanta Falcons here. I actually think this was the one you're supposed to go first on, Zoe, but you went first last, so I'll go ahead and knock this one out.
I can go first again if you want.
All right, fire away.
All right. So
it doesn't matter. My pick's already typed out.
So speaking on behalf of someone who's wearing a Panther shirt right now and will be recording a Panther podcast, which you should check out. It's called Views from Mint Street. We'll be putting a new one out today. Please download, subscribe, all that kind of thing, because we'd appreciate that. So speaking on behalf of the Panthers, I got to say, Atlanta is who we thought they were.
And we let him off the hook.
And we let them off the hook. The Chargers coming into this season, man, there were high hopes for everybody for Herbert.
High hopes. They're 4-3.
Yeah. And Atlanta is not that
They're
good.
4-3 and only a game back of the Chiefs, by the way.
Sorry, guys, on the stream. Atlanta is not that good. I'm going to go with the Chargers here to cover. Or actually, I'm going to go with the Chargers to win and cover.
I agree with you. I took LA in this one too. LA is 4-3, and I don't think as bad as they look. They're just looking to catch that moment. Atlanta won last weekend, not because they're a divisional winning quality football team, but because the Panthers are still bad. We're all optimistic. We're all happy, but they're still bad. Give me the Chargers on the road in the ATL to get the dub over the Atlanta Falcons. Sorry, Brandon. I love you, big dog.
Yeah, look above that, though. I mean, that's a cool stat if that's true. And I'm sure they wouldn't put it up there
Every
with their
team
name
that
on
has
it.
played the Panthers has lost the next week. Well, if Kevin and the boys at Moving the Chain say that, then I'm right. Chargers country. Let's ride. All right.
I don't think that's their slogan.
I don't think it is either. It doesn't matter.
It has something to do with electricity, I'm guessing.
And let's wrap it up. Carolina is at Cincinnati. The Bengals are -7. They got to win by 8 or better in this one. I am going, of course, with the Cats that start with C. The Carolina Panthers, ladies and gentlemen. I am going with the Panthers.
What?
Here's why.
What?
Here's why.
It's got to be the carbonated beverage
Stick
here.
with me.
Because you changed your mind because you were leaning the other way.
Stick with me. What is the weakest?
I'm always with you, Rob.
Aw. What's the weakness of the Cincinnati Bengals offense?
Someone can run the ball against them.
What's the weakness of Cincinnati's offense?
Oh, offense. You said offense.
But you're
oh,
finding the direction. I was going there next. So we're fine.
their offenses, they can't block.
Yeah. What's the strength of the Carolina defense?
They can rush the passer.
Correct. What's the strength of the Cincinnati defense? They give up run yards. What's the strength of the Carolina Panther offense now? Deontay Foreman.
Run the ball.
They can run the ball.
And I believe Chuba's back.
Chuba is back. Deontay Foreman is still going to be the one. And PJ Walker, despite the L to Atlanta last week, showed me that he got that dog in him. PJ's going to shock some people. Give me Carolina on the road, +7. The Cats won't win the game, but they'll be close. They'll scare Joey B. Give me the Panthers.
By the way, I disagree. Carolina's going to win the game. They are.
Outright.
They are. Yeah, because their strengths really stack up nice against Cincinnati's weaknesses, which you just pointed out. And Carolina should have won that game last week if someone would have kept a stinking helmet on. So, yes, I'm going Carolina.
All right. So we are matched up game for game in the National Football League. We both have Jacksonville +1.5. We both have Buffalo -11. We both have the Rams +3. We both have the Chargers -3. And we both have Carolina +7. It is college football where we will find our difference. In fact, it is, Lonzo, one game that will determine next week's loser.
Alabama, LSU?
Alabama, LSU.
Roll Tide!
We have both got Florida +3.5. We have both got Tennessee +8.5. We have both got Clemson -3.5. And we've both got South Carolina -7. The only game that will determine who takes a punishment next week is Alabama at LSU. I have got the Tigers +13.5. Lonzo rolls with the Tide, and that game, we will have a loser next week. There is no way to avoid it. We will have a loser because there's a hook in this game. Somebody is going to the boo box on Monday morning bright and early.
Don't let me down, Nick.
Texas says Panthers are who we thought they were, and we shook them off the hook because we don't reel in bottom feeders. Nice. Texas says Jets Fins win outright, and Texas says Wilson and eBay Motors have the same catchphrase. There's a joke in there somewhere. Yes, there is. Well done. Well done. Texas says Tennessee and 8.5 is better than a $2 ticket for 1.5 mil. I like that line for Tennessee. I really do. I still think there are some people who don't get how good they are. Back after this to wrap it up on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Josh, Falcons country, let's rise. That's good, man. That's good. I like that. So this would be the thing that makes this punishment an actual punishment, because whiskey and other liquors are scientifically carbonated, and we all know Rob is all about science. Carbon dioxide is one of the byproducts of fermentation along with alcohol, which means that many alcoholic beverages naturally become carbonated in the bottle. You're welcome, Rob. I want you to know, and I mean this, I'm not kidding, and you won't believe me, Steven, and that's okay, but I want you to know that giving up booze for 2 weeks would be easier than giving up carbonated beverages. Scout's honor. Giving up booze for 2 weeks, even with as big of a college and NFL weekend as we have this weekend, giving up booze for 2 weeks would be an easier punishment to get through than getting through 2 weeks without a carbonated beverage. That is the dead truth.
He didn't eat the mayo, Marcus.
Hey, you missed it. I didn't eat the mayo because I trust the word of doctors who do doctor things when they say don't do a thing or do a thing. And a doctor said don't do the thing. So I'm not going to do the thing. That's where the 2 weeks no carbonation punishment has come from. Attaboy, Kev. Attaboy. Beamer ball, baby. South Carolina might need a they might need a Beamer ball moment, right? A Beamer ball moment would make me feel better about the South Carolina.
Yeah, they didn't
pick.
have one last week, so.
Brandon said LSU taking down the Tide. Hey, listen, it's been a weird year. I like Alabama. Excuse me. There it is. I told you it was coming.
It wasn't on the air though, and it's you made it almost 3 hours without doing it.
LSU is going to make this a hell of a football game at home in Baton Rouge. I don't know that they win, right? Because this is one of those games that, you know, Saban has been prepping the boys for since February. But the offense has picked up. They put up 90 points in the last 2 weeks. They can put points on the board. It'll be interesting. By the way, look at the scream name of the random tweeter. If that person is still around, I know. I just earned a follow.
Which is the first thing I thought when you did that. I almost thought you did it on purpose just for that reason, but you know.
It contains carbon, Stephen, but it is not by definition carbonated. Carbonated would mean carbon is added later. Something being aided means it is added later. Inflated means you have inflated it later. You have added air. Yes, I will play semantics here, because if you're taking away my carbonated beverages, whiskey on ice is getting me through Saturday night, Steven. It just is what it is.
I got to throw out some credit to someone. App State was trending earlier, so I clicked on it. And, you know, whenever you click on something, it gives you suggestions of who to follow. Diesel was the number one up there. Good for him. That means you're that associated
Winning
with your
the
school.
algorithm.
Yeah, good for him.
Just because somebody who studied medicine in the human body for 7 years and has a career in that field doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. Eat the mayo.
Here's the thing, Marcus. It was a Reddit doctor. We don't know if it's even really a doctor.
I do.
Do you?
You can't post as a doctor on that thread without proving you are a doctor. That's the rules.
I don't. How is it regulated?
By moderators, by Reddit moderators.
Really?
Yeah.
So they vet everyone who does that sort of thing. You know this for certain. If you said you talked to your personal doctor and your personal doctor said that, that would be different.
I guarantee you, if we call my doctor and go, Doc, is it cool if I eat 32 ounces of mayo? He's going to go,
By the way,
no,
Rob is the
idiot."
one who picked 32 ounces. I always said a smaller jar. If I would have lost that bet, I would have came in with a dinky thing of mayonnaise and I would have ate it.
In my opinion, the spirit of that bet would have been it is a jar of mayo.
All right, time for Twitter trending topics where I tell Rob what is trending on the internet, and he would tell everybody why it is trending because he's smart like that, even though he does trust a Reddit doctor, which I just don't. I mean, anyway, Jay-Z is trending.
Jay-Z, Jigga is trending. I have no idea why. I will say number one, Jay-Z is without a doubt one of the most influential artists in music in a long number of years. B, I am not a big Beyonce fan, right? Like, I think she's a good performer, but I don't understand I don't know why when Beyonce releases a song, the country shuts down for like 4 days to talk about it. Same with Taylor. I like Tay-Tay. I like Beyonce. I don't get it. That being said, what kind of stones do you have to be married to Beyonce and step out? That being said, I have no idea why.
Okay, so when I talk about something and he doesn't know, don't be throwing up the thing on the stream because he might actually look at it and get it. Okay, he's trending along with Jeff Bezos because it is rumored that the two together might buy the Washington Commanders.
Interesting. I'm going to tell you right now, Jeff Bezos will not be accepted as an NFL owner. Won't happen. And here's why. NFL ownership is all billionaires, right? It's all billionaires. And NFL ownership is a big swinging you-know-what contest between all of the owners. Jeff Bezos, this is fun. Jeff Bezos, Lonzo, could buy all 32 NFL franchises and still have the majority of his wealth and more money than every NFL owner individually right now. That's how much money Jeff Bezos has. Jerry Jones does not want to get into a swinging contest with Jeff Bezos. Jay-Z has a better chance to buy that team solo than he does doing it with Bezos.
All right. The next thing that's trending is Logan Paul.
Crown Jewel is tomorrow. If you want to watch it, have fun. And he's going to be there.
All right. So Logan Paul showed up to the press conference. Press conference is going on right now, apparently, on a camel, which is pretty cool. Listen, you should watch him. You should watch him on the camel, and he doesn't look scared because some people get up on a camel and they're like scared to death, and he just looks natural up on the camel. And Roman Reigns gives a look like this guy showing up on a camel. It's great.
I will give him that. That's pretty funny. There's nothing worse on the internet than when somebody that you don't like makes a good point or does something cool. This is that moment for me. That's pretty funny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us. Big day of football tomorrow. Big day of football Sunday. Big day on the show Monday when we come back and talk about it all. Cannot wait. Jim Rome's got you next in the jungle. Mark and Dees will take you offsides at 3, and we will be back on Monday to do it all over again. Thank you guys so much for listening. We very much appreciate you, letting us have a job. Thanks to the Rob Bots watching on the stream. We appreciate your involvement, and we will see you all back here Monday. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Back here at 9 for the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. All right, dudes and dudettes, I appreciate you guys. You are awesome.